Is the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
It's not true. It doesn't matter what's true. It matters the story they tell when you're gone.
I keep on pushing down my gypsy road.
All right, man. I don't know what it is, guys. There's a lot of fucking energy in this show tonight. There's just a lot of energy. Fucking Bigfoot Anon. This is like his third show in a row that he's been on. I mean, he's just been on and on and on.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing's wrong with that. So let me just say who's here. Wagon Rex is here. Sandra Piper's here. Pine Island Researcher. That's Jeff Harding. Great guy to the show. Jordan Kodiak. D Slayer Ski. Daily Dan. And Daniela W. So, and we got Scotty FC. So that's freaking awesome. And we got Dr. Wu, guys.
Yeah, with all kinds of electronic problems.
We can hear you just fine.
Yeah, I can't see the screen though. I have no visual, but that's fine. Everything just froze. That's fucking. You talk about excitement, right? Damn.
There's just too much energy, you know. Christmas around the corner. You got New Year's. You just got, there's so much stuff that's going on. There's so many things that we're all working on. It's, it never ends, right?
And guys, the Matrix is what brought me to Gypsy Road in the first and the foremost. That's how I found you guys. And today, the Matrix 4 came out.
Yeah,
and
it did.
I know all three of us have watched it, countless times, hundreds of times. I have done so much LSD and mushrooms and watched it and dug so deep into those movies and waited and asked and pleaded and manifested for this to happen. So today, this morning, last night was such a revolutionary time. And again, I had a show earlier with Amber's Paraworld about meditation. I was just on Squatch in South Florida about Christmas legends. And I'm a huge advocate of the reindeer, Santa, Krampus, the Grinch being a Sasquatch, the elves, and all these other strange satanic tales. It starts at December 5th all the way to January 5th. These, weird veil is thin type of current waves are happening. So yes, it's just magical. We are here and I'm so excited. It's always family Wednesday nights, man. Back to it.
Nice. It's good. It's good to be back just for the night. It's kind of cool. Eric sent me a little invitation. He says, "Hey man, why don't you tell your story?" I was like, yeah, sure. No problem.
Because this is where it came up.
Where the hell did it? How the hell did this come up?
We Bob, you and I, we've been involved in so many different communities. I mean, we started off with so many different communities, and it seems like almost any community you go into, it seems like everybody picks, like, not everybody, but there's a percentage of people that pick these leaders, these researchers, like these are the king of the people. These are the people that if you say you saw something or you think something, these are the people that have to approve it, right? These this guy is 6'3", he's muscular, so we're gonna put all our faith in this guy. We're gonna put all our faith. I'm serious. There's some channels that are run by baby truthers, and people put all their faith in them. And no offense to you, Bob. A lot of people look at you like, That's a fake. That's a crazy motherfucker. That's just a crazy hillbilly who lives out in the woods. And people don't understand who you really are. They don't understand the things you have gone through. They look at you. They look at your beard. They judge a book by its cover. I hate to say it. Too many people in too many communities judge the book by its cover.
Yeah, it was hard to get that cover to be judged by. I fucking everything I do is 100% strategic. I mean, even my fucking beard. I mean, I want to look this part. I want to be this part. You know, I don't care what people think.
And then of course and then it seems like same old story. Also, Bob, in every single community, there's fights. There's things that people break up over. And I have to show this. I'm not going to go a lot about this one little thing, but there was a fight between a couple channels and all that. I'm not going to get into the individual.
Well, I would say a discussion difference, maybe a differences of opinion. I wouldn't
difference of opinion, but I wasn't even there for these channels, right? But let me show you what somebody wrote in my comment that I actually had to delete. You know, Dark Waters Dogman Cams is a scam commented. Somebody wrote their channel like that's their channel. First of all, you're a coward if you can't even write your own name, your own channel.
Yeah.
This person supports this guy. He's tried to strangle. Then accusing me. You support people like this. It says a lot about your character, and we're coming after you. I mean, that's what this person wrote about me. Like, they're coming after me, right? And I'm like, whoa. I wasn't even there for these shows. Who's picking sides?
If Art Bell had, Art Bell had to bring on the most strangest people with the most strangest ideas. And even if he didn't believe them 100%, he gave them a platform to say what they have to say. Because, sometimes it comes out crazy, but then you find out later on that, oh my God, this person was right the entire time. They usually, what's the old saying? He was ahead of his time. Anybody who's ever had the title that he was ahead of his time didn't have that original title.
No.
He was a fucking nutball. He was a screwball. He was kicked out of the university. He was a teacher that nobody liked. I mean, there's always 1,000 names.
Yeah.
He was a delusional thinker. Oh, wait. No, that same guy got invited to speak at the freaking panel. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see in real life. I love all these fake man Bigfooters. It's crazy.
People act like you have to pick a side. I'm like, I'm not picking no fucking sides.
No.
I do a channel for fun. I invite people that when I have a certain title that fits that title.
Yeah.
Kind of like last week, you and I, Connor, we did a show about DNA. Jeff Hardy's perfect because he does deal with DNA. I don't check people's backgrounds. I don't do police checks. I do the show. So when people say we're coming after you, and it's just like, are we in first grade? Are we like little kids? Like we can't get along?
At 3 o'clock after school at the bicycle rack. What the hell? Are you a child? I mean, what the fuck? I was in the military. I don't fucking need to hear children talk about meet me at the bicycle rack at 3 fucking o'clock. Okay, you're alone there, partner. Have fun. Bring a lollipop. No, I don't play them good.
I just didn't like it when they said they're coming after me, and I'm like, what? Now, Bob, you and I have been, been through. Let's just say you and I have been through a lot of wars.
Oh God, too many to count.
Now, and this is the thing. This is why I wanted to bring up this topic about Bob. Actually, Jeff Hardy is going to be jumping on with us too. I just sent them a link.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when Bob and I were investigating the Mandela effect, right? I know people right now in the chat, stop it. We were investigating why people have different memories. And we come across where Bob and I, we speak our mind. We tell people what we believe. And, and we noticed that there's a lot of people that just say they weren't telling the truth. And you could tell right off the bat they weren't telling the truth. And Bob, now, first of all, Bob doesn't call anybody out. Bob will just say, hey, this thing is wrong. Now, then what happened was one time a person didn't like what Bob and I have said on our opinions. So they created a hit piece on me. I actually had a hit created on me on YouTube.
That was cool, though.
Yeah, it was cool. And
I like
Bob was called a shell. Bob was called an agent, right? And this is
a government agent. Hell yes.
This is
I work for the government.
Why I'm bringing this up, researching. Now, I'm not gonna say this guy's name. I don't do that shit. But there's one guy, and here's Bob. And now I got nothing against people who didn't graduate from high school. This guy is a high school dropout. Bob is a Washington University College graduate, bachelor degrey.
No, I heard about it.
Have 2 DUIs 1 year. Bob went to college for archaeology. Bob went to military. This guy fights against the government. You know, and Bob went around the world, Japan. Bob's done research in so many countries. Bob and I have done research ourselves growing up, the paranormal, the Bigfoots, and stuff like this.
Good
and
God.
It's like when people are afraid that they think somebody knows more than them. I'm not saying we know more than most people, but we know more than them. They get scared and they start thrashing at you. They start calling you names because they're afraid of you. And they're like, and this happened. Bob knows this. Connor, you never heard this, Connor. One time, I got a petition in my emails with all these names. Bob knows this. Goes, Eric, you need to get Bob off your channel. He's hurting your channel. He's hurting your There was actually a petition to get him off my channel. I'm like, for what? For him telling the truth? For speaking his mind? Do we not want to speak the truth? Listen, a good researcher uses science. Not all science is real. I know that. Uses science, use everything around them, use knowledge, use everything you learn in life. That's what a researcher is. I'm not saying being a college dropout doesn't mean anything. DUI, being a drug addict, all this. You're going to trust that guy over Dr. Wu? Now, Bob, you remember that petition?
Yeah, I remember. Every single one of them, I'm like, they're all frauds, and I debunked them, and I'm like, I have that phenomena. I have been living it. I'm experiencing it. It's not fake. It's real. But I have to go out and debunk first to prove that it's real. I have to go out and I have to go physically see the Mona Lisa. I'll talk about that. I have to go see these artifacts. I went to college for it. Again, with the Bigfoot thing, I was fascinated with Bigfoot when we were kids. That's why I went to anthropology. I wanted to learn a little bit more about what it could be biologically on the science side to prove it's real, not to disprove it. But, and I've seen evidence. I've seen the evidence, so I can actually come out and say, guess what? And also, guess what place not to send your DNA? Do not send it to this place. I always said, do not. There's places like around San Francisco that have these labs. Don't send anything to San Francisco. Don't send anything that if you want actual evidence, you got to go to Sweden. You got to pay a lot of money for that shit. But I know all those things. I know a lot. I know a lot of science. That's what I went to school for. So, yeah, I'm here to debunk mostly, but. What I have to say, if I tell you it's got some plausibility, man, believe me, I've done the fucking dirty work for it. It's plausible.
After you debunk, what's left?
What's left? Yeah.
Hey, what's left? Now, when Bob's talking about encounter, let me tell you guys a little bit about the encounter that what we have, and I'll let Bob explain more because there's part of it that I was too young. I couldn't keep up with Bob and them.
Yeah.
So let me tell you guys about an encounter in case you guys never heard this, and it's not a long story. We go mountains all the time. We hunt
raised
Our families are hunters. That's just where we are. We kill.
Raised in the Sierra Mountains.
In the Sierra Mountains. So how we hunt is back in the day, there was a respect of campgrounds. And there's a place called Poison Meadows that nobody takes it. They know it's the Wood family. You don't touch the Wood family's camp spots. They ain't like that nowadays. Nobody gives a shit no more. There's no more respect.
Well, nobody wants to camp in a place named Poison
Meadows was like this open little area that it has water, it has everything you need for deer, or even Bigfoots and all that. Now, we're growing up, Bigfoot was talked about like a normal beast. It wasn't talk about evil. It was talk about you respect it, it's going to respect you. That's how we were brought up. So there wasn't like a lot of stories around the fire and stuff about Bigfoot being evil or not. Well, when we go hunting, how hunting works for us is half the people go in vehicles, the other half walk. So usually the younger people take off early in the morning and they go walk And the older people, they drive because they're older. They like to drink alcohol. No offense.
Yeah,
driving. But unfortunately, back in the day, it was allowed somehow. So what happens is in the middle of a certain time of the day, we actually, the cars meet up with the walkers. We go out far and we meet up and we all drive back. So one night we met up. I was riding. Bob was walking with the because Bob's older than me. He's 3 years older than I am. So I wasn't old enough to keep up with them because they're a lot faster than I am. It was cold. It was dark. And we all got in the vehicle. We were driving back. So we're driving back. All of a sudden, you heard this noise. It wasn't a bear. I'm telling you right now, it wasn't a bear. I can't explain it. It was too long ago, but you heard this noise, and then like the forest went kind of quiet. And then everybody looked over.
Vacuum quiet.
Uncle Johnny's like, what the fuck is that?
Vacuum quiet.
Look. And he was pointing. Bob and them, all the teenagers grabbed their weapons. I'm not saying you should grab your weapons, but they're teenagers.
I did.
Grab their weapons, and they all got out of the vehicle and start running after it. And guys, I had a knife and I had a fork because it was so fast. I was young. I couldn't keep up with them. So everybody was chasing this part. Now, Bob, this part, I couldn't keep up with you guys.
Yeah.
What happened when you guys were chasing this thing?
Oh, me and the cousins, man. Now let's say this truthfully. How Eric says it in a nice way. Okay, so the uncles and the dad, they get a little bit lit up on the hillside. They're a little bit lazier, so they send the kids down the mountainside to brush out any deer on the other side, so they could just pop them off like candies, like ducks in a barrel. Our job was to brush them out. Eric and I have even sit down for damn boar, which is like, now I look back and like, good God, Dad, fuck, we could have died. But anyway, so we're back in the vehicle. I got the 30-06. My cousins grabbed their rifles. We go chasing this thing down. We want to know what the hell it is. Now, of course, you grab weapons. You're not going to, if it's going to charge you, yeah. But we went chasing it down, and I wanted to put a bead on it. We even had scopes. So what we saw was a big-ass, huge-ass SpongeBob SquarePants fucking backside, a square, hairy-ass back, like a big old fat back with hair, long-ass hair. And I'm like, well, that's as kids, we're like, that's the biggest fucking. There's no grizzlies here. They're all gone now. Is that a grizzly on its hind legs, like maneuvering through the fucking forest? Because that's what it could have been. Now let's just say it again. Is it plausible that it was a grizzly bear that was not killed in the Sierras on its two hind legs running through the forest? Maybe. I highly doubt it though. So we saw something that was not, it was just something you would never, ever see ever. And it was scary as fuck. I'm going to be honest with you. As kids, we just stared at it and it made its way down and into the bushes like it had vanished. Like it had gotten down on its hands and knees and just like a gorilla. It just it was down in the brush, gone. Like it's gone. You could see it was in the manzanita, man. Once it got under the manzanita brush down below, it's gone. So this thing's just shuffling through the bushes. We're like, anybody got a bead on it? No, man. What the fuck? We were thinking bear. Now we're thinking it's got to be a bear, but it can't be anything that big. It's huge, man. So we to this day go back and we talk to ourselves like, guys, we might have saw one of them Sasquatch. it's high Sierras, man. And like there is no other, I put it on the plausibility table on a high plausibility that this thing, it was more shocked to see us than it was for us to see it. Because it wasn't expecting a vehicle filled with a bunch of teenagers to jump out and chase it. So it was flying, man. It went gliding through the fucking forest.
And Bob, I remember when everybody got back to the car, the grown-ups were so fucking pissed off, saying, "You little bastards, don't you ever fucking get out of the car and chase something you don't know what it is."
You don't know what it is. Because they knew, they're old. They're like, no, boys, we don't know what they're capable of. Well, who's they? We don't know what they're capable of. We don't know if they attack. We don't know if what they could do to you. We know that they. Who's they, Dad, uncles? Who's they? Could have been a bear. There wasn't no bear, Okay, we don't know. Other words, don't you ever go chasing one off into the forest like that, because we don't know if they could attack back, man. Because we're aggressors to this creature. We were the aggressor. Yeah.
Only thing I could think of why it didn't attack back. Or, we of course we don't have. We don't also have the answers, but that is our camp spot every single year.
Yeah.
They know us in a way.
They know our smell. We've been there for years and years. Every year, same spot. They knew the smell. We kind of had an idea. I didn't know it was gonna be violent. I don't think it wasn't gonna be violent. We had many bears over there. Remember how many bears we had in that fucking camp?
No, I know there's a lot of fucking bears. God. Because we had a man-made toilet chair that we used to go out and take it home. But Jeff, Jeff, when you had your encounter, when you're up that close, you ever thought to yourself why you were able to walk away from it?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time not understanding the dynamics that happened that day, as far as what led to what. It just, to me, it was just this freaky thing that happened. But now, after time and doing a lot of research, I realized there are elements that kind of came together to lead to that happening, as far as why it was where it was and why it reacted the way that it was. It's a little bit easier to understand now, but without really a reference point of experience, it does seem really confusing when something like that happens, And I would say that, when somebody, like when the doctor here is talking about what he saw that day, and this is typical when people say, well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't this, it wasn't this, it wasn't this, but I don't know what it was. And it's like, yeah, you do know what it was. It's just hard to hear yourself say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're our own worst critics when it comes to vetting ourselves and our own evidence and our own beliefs and theories. Before I tell you what I have a theory about something, I in my mind, I've tried to shoot that down 1,000 times, right? That's normal processing when it comes to psychology. Is before I put myself in a position of being doubted by somebody, I have to try to insulate my vulnerability by trying to explain how that all happened and why I arrive at this theory. So it's easy for people to say, well, it's not likely it was a bear. It's not likely it was this, not likely it was that. And then they say, but I don't know what it was. I think you do know what it was in most cases. It's just hard, to say, I saw something that a lot of people don't believe exists.
Yeah, that's how it works. You got to give them, I always give them okay, well, here's the plausibilities of, and then I'm going to say this is highly likely, though, that it was a hominid of some sort running around the fucking that we that people have talked about for thousands of natives of time. Everybody has a history of it, so you can't, even in anthropology, we talked about it. Is it an Pithecus, or is it a that? No, man. Is it another branch of human or hominid that we haven't discovered yet? A hybrid of that? Yeah, it could be, because it's there.
And people in the chat, Dr. Wu, of course, you guys know he's my brother. While I was living in Maryland, he actually lived in Maryland with me because he actually worked at the Smithsonian Museum. He worked on some stuff that people weren't really supposed to see.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got security clearance for a lot of interesting things. Things I could talk about, some things I can't talk about. But what I can't, nothing like you guys are thinking, but for example, one of the things I will talk about was a lot of prisons on the East Coast were closed down to build condos and houses and stuff. Unfortunately, those prisoners still belong to the state. They belong. I know it sounds bad, but they belong to the state. And a lot of those prisoners were, in fact, indigenous peoples that were we're talking 1800s here, guys. So their bones are kept at the Smithsonian in drawers. They had to exhume. They can't just leave the cemeteries there. They had to exhume all the cemeteries. So I had to go through painstakingly and to identify each and every piece of the bone and make sure it had a cat number on it and make sure they're all together because of the rules. Indigenous peoples have rules. I mean, they got to have every piece of their body has to be there 100% complete. You know, you go in the other afterlife, you're missing a digit, you're missing a finger. That's bad. So I shuffled around a lot of bones. People always ask me, have you seen the giants? No, I've looked. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've looked for them. They've got those hidden somewhere else. They've got them hidden somewhere. It's Sasquatch, same thing. The giants category, they're hidden somewhere. I haven't seen them. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Yeah.
What's really funny is when Bob worked at the Smithsonian, my 8th grade trip actually went there. So we might have crossed paths in the past last life.
But Bob's like behind the scenes. You know, if you're there, Bob's worked behind the scenes.
I was in the catacombs, like deep, like the guys. There are this will make Connor happy. Yes, Connor, there are tunnels under the Smithsonian. And you are correct if you told people that. I don't know if I've never told you that. But if you told people that, you are not lying to them because there are a lot of tunnels under there. That's where everything's being held. What you see on top is the tip of the iceberg. That's just what's being put out for the public. What's below is drawers and drawers. We've got a fish room. The fish room is like the size of a football field, man. It's filled with fish from all over the globe. Any and every fish. They try to get everything in nature in that's aquatic. Because I worked with a vertebrate department, and I had to do a combination of alcohol to water mixture in each jar to make sure they don't deteriorate. I used to eat my lunch on the coelacanth freezer. I used to sit on the freezer and have my lunch. So I've seen the coelacanth, which is another cryptid. You would say that it didn't exist. That thing died out millions of years ago. Nah, fuck you. I had lunch on the coelacanth. I've seen it. It's there. It's full of scales. I mean, you exactly what you'd think it looked like too. That's weird. And I'll add to a story on that one in a second too when we talk about Mandela effects. Yeah, kind of cool. Yeah, it's interesting. And the bowels of that place is really, and they run into each other in the other museums. They connect. You work in one museum, you have access to all of them because you have to sometimes go to all of them. And it's the same thing there. And also you have to have firefighting training. That's why they pick a lot of vets. You got to man a hose.
Yeah, Bob was in the U.S. Navy. Bob was on he was stationed on the Blue Ridge ship.
Yeah. So I was ahead of a fire team and down in the catacombs or the museum. It's kind of interesting. People don't know that. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. People judge people by the cover, and they look at you like you're just this hillbilly woods guy. Like they don't realize you're military. You went to college. You were archaeology. And what was that one country that during your archaeology research you guys went to?
East Timor, Indonesia, where we got to look at a lot of interesting bones. Also, that's Java, which is now getting hit by a massive volcano. They found what they call the hobbits. The problem was that you had a geologist make the discovery and try to play archaeologist, and just completely foobarred the whole site. He's completely got it wrong. So yeah, you hear the bells. So yeah, we were looking for the hobbits. We were looking for the small people, which makes sense that a humanoid would be smaller on those islands. Because animals, there's a name for that. They shrink on islands. They have they even had elephants. People found small elephants on islands. It's interesting. But I don't know about getting to them now because of the ash and volcanoes and stuff. Oh, well. But East Timor was beautiful. Beautiful. War-torn country.
Yeah. And let me tell you guys a paranormal story that Bob and I try to debunk, trying to understand how this happened. And I want you guys to hear this one. This is actually a paranormal that just Bob and I had a brother who became a sister, which no big deal, became a sister. And through, I don't know, people hating this kind of a thing and all that just say his death wasn't, not going to get into it, but it was self-reflected, that kind of a thing. So she passed away, and she was messing with a Ouija board. I'm not recommending a Ouija board, but this is the part I'm coming up with. Bob knows the story.
Oh, God.
So there's a Ouija board, and I go, Bob, you want the Ouija board? I go, I don't want this thing. Bob goes, I don't want this thing either.
I don't play those things.
So we threw it out. We took it outside. We threw it in the garbage. And the next day, because Bob was staying in the room next to that room, he was on his stay from the UK here. We go back in the room because we're cleaning out some of the stuff, looking at the old pictures, and the Ouija board was there. We went to everybody, my kids, did you guys pull this out? Did somebody see it, thought somebody threw it out by accident? And nobody said they threw it out. Nobody said. So we don't know how. Maybe somebody did and they're playing a joke on us. But Bob, you try to research and try to find out. We don't know how a Ouija board we threw out reappeared back in the room.
Yeah. It just fucking came back, man. I didn't touch it.
And
yeah, it came back.
Cat don't know what Bob looks like.
Yeah, I can't get my honestly, guys, I'm not fucking with you. This is a touch screen and it's frozen. It won't move. I can't push. It won't move. The arrow won't move anywhere. I'm trying to move it. I'm afraid I'm going to cut myself out. It happens every freaking show, man. Connor can justify. We're not making this shit up. Every show I get these problems. Every show is an electronic problem. I'm trying to move the cursor so I can get my face on, but I can't do it yet. But yeah. That Ouija board reappeared, and so me and Eric were like, "Oh man, I think our brother's still hanging around." But he was playing with some dark magic, so that's what got him in the end. It got him. That's why I'm again with I debunk. However, I've seen my brother, transitioning sister, become this person that I didn't recognize. I didn't know. I seen a different I actually saw a different person in him, like a different entity, which is what is I'm gonna say it is a conspiracy, and it's on the table that I think some of these head leaders of whatever you want to call them are themselves possessed by something. Man, there's something. They're not the same people, and I could say that because I saw my brother. It was a different person. He was not the same person to me. I did not recognize him, even though he was transitioning. I knew him my whole life. I'm like, this is not the same soul in this man's body. I don't know what it is. It's occupying with him in there, and it's incorrect. And even his dog, which I raised half the time, and Eric, you raised, had all these large, was it cancerous, huge, just large cancerous. I'm like, how did this dog?
Alvin.
He was still a puppy. He was still he wasn't a puppy. He was still mid-age. He was teenagers. How did he get so many tumors? I said, what have you been doing, man? That Ouija board, he was playing with dark magic. I was like, dude, something's wrong. So yeah, I could tell you right now, I know possession's real. I saw it.
Yeah. And what's kind of weird was it's in one of our videos. I don't know which video it was, but our friend called Through the Veil Paranormal. Her name is Nicole. She's a known medium that's been on some shows where she helps cops out to investigate. She's a good friend of the channel. She came on our show, and she didn't even know. We never said anything about our brother sister passed away. And on one of our shows, she was on. She goes, "Eric, who's that person standing behind you?" And it was actually describing. And I was like, "Holy shit! We never even told this person that our brother / sister passed away." And it was on one of our shows because we were just doing a live show. She was on it, and I'm not saying none of it's going to be real to people, but I'm just saying, man, you got to keep your eyes open. You got to research the shit out of it. Like,
yeah, be careful.
Jeff, I'm sure when people send you stuff, I remember what you said that, like, if anybody wants you, if they want to send you hair or something to test DNA, you always said, like, there's a set of questions you always ask because you should, before you take something up, before you invest your own time into investing somebody else's finds.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what area of the paranormal you're talking about, whether it's cryptids or whether it's something, like ghosts or spirits. And I always tell people, don't research anything you're not prepared to find out the answer to. because the only reason why you're researching it is likely because you don't know what the answer is. And that doesn't necessarily mean finding it out is something you're prepared for. I mean, people just don't get that. They think, oh, I'm going to find out A or B. It's real or it's not. They don't realize the journey they're going to take and the things they'll experience in coming to that determination. And you might experience a whole lot and not get there to where you have a definitive answer. So,
yeah.
It's one thing with Bigfoot to talk about, but when you're talking about spirits and ghosts and other areas of the paranormal, it's usually just not a cut and dry. Is it real or is it not? It's what is it, and to what degree is it, and to what parameters are around that. And people, you might fundamentally find that a lot of other things that you believe in or feel are concrete in your life really aren't quite so concrete if you find out answers you're not prepared for.
Correct.
Well, here's a question. Was it a Parker Brothers? No, actually, I know what you're talking about, Philosopher 3. It wasn't a Parker Brothers. My brother at that time would not buy a simple store Parker Brothers game. It was an actual... According to him, it was made by according to him, I can't back this up. He said he bought it off a person who supposedly was a witch. But I mean, I wasn't there when he bought it, but there was no Parker Brother. It was actually a nice piece, beautiful wood. It had like that shining on it, like that table coating on it and all that. So it was actual.
It was nice.
He was a Ouija purist. He wasn't going to go for an over-the-counter Ouija board.
No, he wanted it to work.
Yeah, Jeff.
Cardboard ones don't work as well as the hand carved and.
You're right, Jeff. There's a lot of different kind of researchers. There's people who want to prove the world something's real. And they'll do whatever it takes trying to prove it. That's their goal. Bob and I growing up, our goal was never to prove anything to the world. We just wanted to prove it to ourselves.
Myself.
So.
Yeah.
That's why we don't go on shows and really talk about our encounters and stuff, because we're not trying to prove that it's real. We just want to prove it to ourselves. And during that, we'll share our adventures and stuff, but we do it in a good way. But I think when people are trying to prove something so badly, and I'm not saying they're doing it for the wrong reason, but they're willing to cut corners.
Well, there's some really core things that you have to adhere to if you're going to try to do real genuine research. And that's one, you have to be open-minded, because if you're really set on a theory on trying to prove it or support it, you're not really being that open-minded. I have to approach that theory with the same vigor to shoot it down as I do to prop it up. Because I should have as much vested interest in accepting that it's not valid as much as I do that it's valid. I mean, the same tenacity should be displayed in trying to approach the answer, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is understanding that I don't have to like somebody to be able to learn something from them. And in this community, we're a bunch of type A personality assholes. I mean, that's the truth, right? You'd have to be a type A fucking insane person to start a YouTube channel, right? Because you're going to get people who hate you, people who love you, and a lot of people in between. And the fact is I don't have to agree with a lot of things you say or like your personality to be able to learn something from you. And sometimes people, when they're not open-minded to understanding that, they just think, oh, it came from them. That's bullshit. Here's an extreme example. We all look at Todd Standing and say hoaxer, this and that and all that, right? What happens when Todd Standing goes in the woods tomorrow and finds something really concrete? I mean, he's got just as much of a shot as I do, right?
Yeah.
Just because we've pigeonholed him to be something, what happens when that's the guy who comes forward and says this? Everybody will say, well, he deserves not to be heard. Well, science doesn't deserve to be neglected from whoever brings forth the evidence. And when it comes to Bigfoot, I have to believe that, somebody who just goes out there on the weekends as a person who loves the outdoors has as much of a chance at having an encounter as somebody who's funded in research or works with some team of 10 people, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's all timing. There's a hell of a lot of luck involved. Yeah. And, somebody's going to say, well, I don't believe them because they've got 3 DUIs or they lied about this. I can learn something from somebody that I don't, galvanize myself to. So that's another principle people got to understand.
Well, look at all our encounters. Your encounter, our encounter, we weren't looking for it.
No, in most cases.
We did go look for it. It wasn't there.
Yeah. The Bigfoot differs a little bit in the paranormal in that there are some areas of the paranormal that there is a slight predictability pattern there. If a building's haunted and 10 people have sensed something in a room, that you might be able to go in that room and sense something, okay? Yeah. But most people who have seen a Bigfoot 10 seconds before they seen it had no idea they were going to see it.
Yeah.
They operate in haste. They're in a panic. There's a lot of duress upon them trying to grab a cell phone. You want to know why pictures are not that great? It's because people are losing their freaking mind as they're seeing it. It's hard, but when you go into a haunted house, you're holding your camera in front of your face ready, right? So, a little bit more of a predictability. We're hunting a smaller population of game in a bigger forest when you're chasing Bigfoot versus going into a haunted house looking for a ghost,
Well, let's find out, Connor.
If that makes sense,
Yeah, it makes sense.
The last thing that I would mention also is that when it comes to the research, I mean, it really comes down to you better be driven by curiosity, because that's where science got lost. That's where research got lost. 100 years ago, if me and Bob stood and looked at something and we didn't understand it, our curiosity drove us to figure it out, to get an answer. It wasn't funded by money or agendas, right? Right now, research is funded by money, and it's funded by whoever's writing the check has predetermined the answer that they want you to come up with.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's not fun. It's not driven by curiosity anymore. So if you're going to be a researcher and you want to stand by the fact that I will chase A or B, true or not true, with the same tenacity, then you better be driven by your own curiosity. That's the purest form of research there is. You want to know the answer personally, and so you're going to pursue it.
Yeah.
What does it say? I used to do some research, sleep studies funded by mattress company. Huh.
Okay. Yeah. Why not? Actually, yeah.
Let me ask Connor. Now, Connor, what when you want to go out, I know you're researching, you're studying, you want to find, you're looking for something. But what's your main goal? Why you want to go research it? Are you doing it for yourself, or you do want to prove to the world? I mean, there's no wrong answer, but I'm just curious, what's your goal?
I love a good adventure. I'm just a good old-fashioned explorer, but I'm also a storyteller. I also love making film, so it all combines with my research, data, movement, lifestyle. This is just an everyday fun thing for me, always trying to find out what's more. The UFOs, the Bigfoot, the Lake Erie Monster, it's always been my driving force in everything. And I love how it comes into comic books and scary movies. And then, it's really shaped my life, driving down all the way down to Florida and being right by Torreya State Park, where so many famous sightings have happened, and Ocheesee Pond, where one was captured, getting to link up with all the great people, but being surrounded by like Donnie Miller and Stacy. It's really cool, and it's all meant to be. And I feel like this is just my path. It's all just unfolding, and I'm walking it. And definitely 2022 is going to be even more. But it's been all of my journey on the outside of society, and being laughed at and scorned and disregarded from family members, it's all worth it because I just find so much joy in my adventures and, finding glass bottles. I have a glass Gatorade bottle that I found the other day. And it's like, dude, this goes back, 30 years, 25 years. And just think the stuff that we're also uncovering, the Native American mounds, the ley lines, and all these weird wild man stories and the mound builders. It's the closest bridge we have to the creator. So I'm just really enjoying it. And down here in the Florida swamps, we're well aware of, its existence. So I'm just trying to spread the good word and also allow people to live vicariously because a lot of people are locked down. So I know they enjoy, peeking through my videos and enjoying my fun narration. And it's so much bigger than that. And of course, I just uploaded, a couple footages from Flat Rock Booger on TikTok, and it has like 350,000 views. That is so many football stadiums full of people discussing the Sasquatch, talking about the wild man. And if that keeps growing day by day and a whole army of people pushing it forward, hey, at least the awareness is going up, and maybe the missing 401 cases will dwindle out a little bit known to awareness. But, of course, the world still has its cycles. But it's a mixture of just adventure for me, fun awareness. I love making films. Some people say I'm all self-centered and this is all just for fame. They never been to any camp out with me because I'm all about everybody being a part of it. They also have not really paid attention to my virtual life because I am all about the community and showcasing everybody doing hard work, because I've said it before. We're all representing different branches of this. And if these people want to choose, poison and bitterness, then it's upsetting. And I look at Jeff like he is such a level-headed, well-rounded person. And the fact that people are attacking him, attacking Gypsy, coming at me because we're associated, it's like, guys, everybody's got to check themselves because how can you, the guy is just a diehard for the outdoors and also a good guy. I'm talking about all three of us, all four of us, of course. So again, if you find yourself on the other side of the fence than us, everybody's just got to look at the side of the mirror. And all four of us, we are very critical of ourselves and we work very hard to be the best person we can be. And we're also spreading the word in our own very good way. And that is 100% confirmed. And we're in real life with this, our family knows we're into this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question.
Our movement is going to go strong into this next year, and it's going to live eternally because it's more than just clicks and just content. This is a lifestyle.
Let me ask you this question. But actually, Jeff, I don't know if you heard in the beginning, because I'm not going to get into about the wars that's going on. Somebody sent me a comment I had to delete saying they're coming after me because I'm supporting some people that I shouldn't have. Fucking stupid stuff. But Connor, aren't you the stories you heard like from Jeff and I've heard stories from Carrie Arnold, whatever, and them like they almost they shit their pants, because you don't know what it is. Donnie Miller like scared. Are you afraid that you got so much energy you want to go out there, you want to discover all this, that you might put yourself in a position that you really don't want to be in? Are you willing to take that chance?
Oh yeah, I take that chance every time I go out there solo in the swamp. I've also sharded in Pascagoula. I've broke my collarbone back in Ohio running from these creatures. So I've definitely had strange encounters, embarrassing things happen. I've been scared out of the woods. I know these things are there, but I also know that there is a deep pact and a sacred truce that goes back to things that even can't be described by words. There's a reason they're not ripping all of our heads off. But there is many stories like Dennis Martin, Henry McCabe, Cullen Finnerty, tons of stories that people are talking about out there that these creatures are going after people. So I don't know if they're rogue Sasquatches or just other type of subspecies feral man. But again, it's all just going to raising awareness.
Well, I would say, Connor, I think that you are a great ambassador for all of the corners of the paranormal because, not only are you well-versed and open-minded to consider all these different areas of the paranormal, but you do a good job at leading people from one channel to another and opening up their minds to different things. So I appreciate that. The other thing that I would say is, when it comes to, people who say negative things in chat or make threats and things like that, you just need to understand. I mean, Bob understands this because of his education level, and that's that. The first week of Psychology 101 will teach you that people who say things like that, they're speaking from a position of insecurity.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not on you. I mean, if your self-esteem's low or you're missing something in your life, I have compassion for you, but I can't fix that for you, So if you want to get pissed and unsubscribe from my channel, it doesn't change the way I approach research. If I lose 100 people in 60 seconds because they don't like something I said, it isn't going to change the way that I approach the research that I do. And so the ability to come on here on YouTube and talk about it, that's secondary. That's something that's just a benefit that we get to enjoy. But it isn't what drives me to do what I do, and it isn't going to stop me from doing what I do. So, that's why I say, I mean, somebody might say something about me one week and the next week they give me a compliment. If I'm going to hold a grudge over the one thing they said about me, am I going to be open-minded enough to learn something from them if they have something to teach me? And I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm not capable of doing that,
Yeah, I agree.
You said it right, though. The type A, you nailed it, though. You already pre-nailed it. You're like, straight up, the type A personalities that come, I'm like, yeah. Oh, imagine. Okay, you got a bunch of ruffians that are not afraid to go into the woods by themselves with cameras and face something that could kill you. We don't know. You got a lot of type A personalities.
Yeah. I think what makes Bob and I work so well, because we both went to college, but he went to archaeology. My college is business and networking. So together with different styles of college, we both have different ways of thinking of certain things. So when we research, he's throwing this, I'm throwing this, I'm throwing this, I'm thinking this.
Yeah, we don't always agree. We don't agree.
Yeah. and like I say, I mean, there's, believe it or not, I find times where I'm in the field and I'm disagreeing with myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds crazy. I'm not insane, trust me. But I'm looking at something that I've really strongly built a theory upon. And then I see something that contradicts it, and I'm like, I don't want to accept it. So in my head, I mean, I'm wrestling with myself. But like I say, if I'm going to be fair and approach either side with the same tenacity, I'll give you an example. Bob will love this because of his Smithsonian background. I'm going to share something here.
That's awesome.
On the screen that I found this kayaking into my research area here a while back, not that long ago, a couple months ago. So this is what I assume to be a jawbone, and I found it and I didn't understand what it was, and I showed it to Doug Hychek, and we had discussions. He didn't understand what it was, so we brought in a bunch of anthropologists to look at it, and I really wanted it to be something that wasn't discovered yet. And I'll tell you what made me feel that way is look at these teeth. I'll try to zoom in on them if I can.
Yes, I could.
Yeah, you can see the grooves and stuff, and I mean, just really patterned grooves in these teeth, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I don't know any animal that has this in a set of teeth like that. And guess what it ended up being? It's the jaw of an Asian grass carp. And they all have teeth like that. I'll show you.
Is that a bovine?
It's just a fish. It's an Asian grass carp.
Holy shit. Wow. Okay.
What's interesting, Jeff, is I think I found something very similar to that in a video. I was actually just trying to screenshot it and my phone died. But I'm going to get a picture to you soon. And that 100% makes sense because I'm sure those type of fish are in the Apalachicola River, right where I found it.
Well, they're an invasive species. They're the species that when you find yourself when you find yourself,
wow.
Okay, yeah, I don't have the. I thought I had other pictures of the deal, but this invasive species, what it is it's fish that when you canoe down a river and they're like jumping out of the water because like they're startled.
Yeah.
And you've seen that where people are running down a boat and they're like jumping in the boat. Those are Asian grass carp. And what happens is they're invasive. So once they get into a waterway, they kind of take over that waterway, so to speak.
Wow.
And so I have seen these fish a lot, but I'd never seen one decompose to a point where their jaw looked and exposed what their teeth looked like.
Gas card?
Grass carp.
Grass
like a carp, a rough fish carp.
Damn.
It's an Asian grass carp.
It's a hell of a carp.
Yeah, it's just these teeth were like, it's the last thing on earth I would have thought of. I'm looking at thinking, is this some kind of weird prehistoric beaver or something,
Yeah.
But because the jawbone was about the size of a can of Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I mean, like a pop can. It didn't. So yeah, that's what they are. And actually, if you search grass carp teeth, do that, and you'll probably get a picture of these teeth.
Damn. Big ass.
Down here in Florida, you have to get a permit to have them in your pond. My mom is trying to get 2 of them for her pond because they clean it up really well.
There they are. Look at those groove teeth in them.
Yup.
Isn't that just crazy?
And for those of you guys that don't know, they're in the goldfish family.
Mm-hmm.
Goldfish.
Yeah, they'll grow to be 30, 40 pounds.
Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's just so cool. I mean, it's part of nature that you just look at in wonderment and think, I get where maybe your teeth are serrated for chewing something, but to have it be designed like that is just crazy.
Amazing.
But yeah, when I found it, I had no familiarity or reference to compare it to. So I'm looking at it thinking I just discovered some unknown species, But
yeah,
it kind of does look like a xenomorph.
You look at this picture, you just don't think that teeth is inside that fish.
Yeah. But the reason why they're serrated is they mash up, like plankton and microscopic organisms. So when they swim, they collect them, and then those serrated teeth have to fit like gears against each other as they grind it and mash it back and forth.
It gets caught in the hairs of the teeth. It's like the rail with the. Like,
but that jawbone and that all that is somewhere in that fish room at the Smithsonian.
I thought that.
Oh yeah.
It looked like Bob holding that big one. What?
Holding that big one. Oh,
it must be one of the pictures. That's funny.
Google images.
Joints are right here. Cigarettes are right here.
So, Bob,
and another example of not getting too pigeonholed into a way of thinking is that I pursue Bigfoot as a flesh and blood creature. Now I say that, like I said on your show when I was on it before, I believe that orbs are a phenomenon that's very real. I believe that ghosts and spirits are a phenomenon that's very real. And I believe UFOs are a phenomenon that's very real.
Yeah.
But how any of them might be related, I don't have the proof and research to show that, But the other day I heard a guy explaining how if Bigfoot uses portals, how it would explain what orbs are. And I was like, okay, look, until I see Bigfoot fart out an orb, I really am not prepared to have the conversation on how Bigfoots relate to orbs, right? I got to see it. My research has to unveil it for it to be something to be plausible, okay? Right now, I don't consider it impossible, but I consider it unlikely, right?
Yeah.
I look at things as impossible, highly unlikely, unlikely, possible, very likely, and highly plausible. I mean, those are kind of the degrees that I approach it at, right? And oftentimes when you have 4 or 5 possible explanations to something, you have to start using the process of elimination to determine what is the most plausible of all of those explanations that would make the most sense, supported by my life experience, what I've seen, and what I know science to show. And so this guy's saying, if you just saw a Bigfoot appear through a portal, wherever it came from, let's not argue about that, but just all of a sudden there it is where you are as it came through a portal. The amount of energy it would take to appear through a portal, as you come into a realistic existence, flesh and blood here on Earth, that you're going to be bleeding off an awful lot of energy. And as it comes through that portal, those orbs are the energy that it's bleeding off.
Plasma balls.
And now they just exist there. Wherever they might go a million miles, away during the time that they're there, but that's how they're created, by the energy that was bled off when it showed up. Now, listen, I have nothing that would support that as being even, slightly plausible. Okay, but if I was to find out tomorrow that portals were real and I could prove that they were real, now I would say that is a very plausible explanation for how orbs show up. It makes sense that if something was to come through a portal from point A to point B, whether it's from a different planet to a different planet, or a different region of a planet to a different region of a planet, whatever, or to come from a spiritual existence to a physical existence. The idea of moving that mass of energy through a portal, if it bled off energy as it came and took form, it could easily be in the form of orbs. I mean, I could see that. Now, people in the Bigfoot community might look at me and say, Jeff, you're freaking crazy for even saying that. I'm just saying I'm open-minded enough to say that if portals were shown to exist to me, that all of a sudden that explanation becomes plausible. Right now, I can't say it's impossible. We're talking about a science that there are very little facts that exist in. So what's not on the table, really?
Yeah.
As far as a discussion. But
nice
no,
story.
It's kind of I'm trying to stretch it here. I can't stretch it. Damn.
We try to stretch.
Well, what he's talking about, you and I actually did a show on what he's just talking about. It's right here. Is the Bigfoot an extraterrestrial visitor? If you look at our thumbnail, I built in the picture of a portal. We actually talked about right here. This one right here. We actually talked about that. I can't remember exactly what we talked about in the video. It was so long ago, but we talk about the possibilities. That's how they're coming and going.
Only
we're not seeing them.
We discussed it because there are people in the Bigfoot community that they say they always see the orbs. They see orbs. They see a Bigfoot, then they see orbs. Or they'll see orbs and they'll go follow the orbs, and then they'll confront what they think to be some sort of hominid out there running around at the same time. Yeah. So we're like,
I hear that a lot too. But then now I have to counter that with, I hear a lot of encounters with a Bigfoot, never saw an orb, and I hear encounters about people saying they saw orbs, but there wasn't a Bigfoot. No Bigfoot. So that starts leading me to believe that's a clear recognition for me that I don't understand the relation between the two. I can't say that they aren't related, but I can't say that it's a consistent relation to say that there's a symbolic nature, or I should say a symbiotic nature to where
it's
where there's Bigfoot, there's orbs, and where there's orbs, there's Bigfoot.
Yeah, most people just see the Bigfoot or by accident, and and then a small percentage say they see the orbs, go looking for the orbs, and they run into the Bigfoot. So, And that's
also, these people say I saw orbs in an elevator in downtown Chicago. I doubt there was a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were trying to break it down like, okay, well, let's take this and massage it for a while and see what we can come up with as an idea.
Yeah.
Why would giving them their opportunity, their platform to say, okay, we believe you. So let's see what we could just talk about. Why would you see an orb and then see a Bigfoot? Well, then we go, okay,
it's all in the discussion, people. Eventually we get the luxury in science to have somebody from a creditable position to come forward and say, let me tell you something that I know that nobody else does. And that becomes like a concrete wall that's knocked down for us to some extent. But when that doesn't happen, all those spaces in between those rare events where we have somebody do that, they are discussions, people sharing opinions of what could explain something. And when I look at my theory, my vetting gamut of saying what is impossible, what is highly unlikely, what is unlikely, what is possible, what is likely, what is highly likely, and what is extremely plausible. I mean, from the bottom up, okay?
Yeah.
Those possibilities that I feed into that machine are only possibilities that come from here. But if they come from here, here, and here, and here, the machine has more data to process, and it's more likely to come up with a better set of data to consider. And so, people just need to understand that it's about the networking, and it doesn't matter if somebody says something that you think that's just the stupidest thing on earth I've ever heard, because the next thing that comes out of their mouth may be something that you say, holy shit, there might be something to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, the reason I brought this up is the Sasquatchers was on our channel, and they actually talked about on one of their research where they actually saw orbs with the feeling of Bigfoot out there in the woods. It was actually a great video. So we actually did a show on that. They talked about orbs. Now, I can't tell you if they have the real mediums or not, but I feel like I trust them enough to believe that they can feel something.
I know Jen pretty well, and
Jen's great.
I can tell you that 2 of those 3 ladies are gifted in remote viewing.
Nice.
And they are, whether you believe it or not, that they experience something that is real as they're experiencing it. Okay, whether you understand that or not is on you. It's not on them. But they experience and process energy much differently than other people do. There's a lot of people like them that do that. They aren't unique in that. But if you ask them, teach me to do it, you can't teach. I can't teach Eric to do something that I don't fully understand why I'm gifted with it, or how I'm using it. It's just as there, right? If you heard a voice in your head and you started looking at the things that voice was telling you to look at, and you realize that it's telling you to look at the things that are important, you might not understand where the voice comes from, and you might not understand why it chose you to be there. But that doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make that sound crazy, like a crazy analogy. A gift is a gift. You don't need to fully process why somebody would be able to do that and you can't. Why can I play the guitar and the next person can't?
Yeah.
I mean, it's everybody's got different gifts from each other, and we need to respect that. And some, look, I'm not being naive. Some people are full of shit. That's the truth.
It's a free planet, or a free back of the turtle.
There are people out there who are hurting and are insecure or lacking something in their life, and they will embellish things for attention because they need attention. It might not be because they're a narcissist. It might be because they're incredibly lonely or they're going through a grief period. People do stuff weird and unpredictable like that for different reasons. It's not always nefarious, you know?
Yeah.
But so I have to approach people understanding that not everybody's going to give me data to feed into the machine. Some of it's just bullshit, and I better be able to figure it out.
I'm grabbing a beer. You guys keep talking.
He's still in California.
Yeah.
He's not back in the UK yet.
Did you see your comment? BF Bud said, "Love you doing shows later." So it is awesome, you know, having these late night shows and right after Sean G Chasing the Truth and Gemma Jade Oracle readings. A lot going on Wednesday, so it's really nice to have this late night.
But
I was contemplating doing a late night show tomorrow night, just impromptu.
I do
but
10 a.m. I actually do. I like this. I like morning shows because nobody really does it. So it's like, hey, you can watch us in the morning. You can watch everybody else at late. But you know, this is fun. This is fun doing.
I had kind of entertained this idea that, you know, since I'm fairly new with the channel, right, that a lot of people will see me on different shows like yours, and they might have questions about whether it's about me as a person or, you know, my life or research. And I'm fairly open book, you know, but I thought it'd be cool if you did an impromptu show where I'll post the link. You come into the backstage, and I'm not going to pop 10 people on, but one at a time, I'll pop people on. And here's the rule: you can ask me any question you want, and I'll try to give you a very truthful answer. But then I get to ask you any question that I want, because I want to get to know these people in chat. I want to learn something about them, right? So how cool would it be to let one at a time come on and ask you a question? You want to ask me what kind of car I drive, or, you know, whatever you want. But then I get to ask you one question. And then afterwards, we pop you off and bring in the next person. I think that would be a fun show to do.
Oh, yeah.
But
I'd ask questions. What's your favorite head of lettuce? Like, huh? Do you like cabbage?
I like romaine better than
there you go.
Most lettuce.
Actually, there's an answer. Most people have an answer for that. They're like, oh, okay.
And I, you know what else I like? You only usually iceberg. See it at restaurants, but I don't mind getting the young dandelion lettuce leaves in a salad.
Yeah, I like
a little bitter flavor, but
I'm into rockets. It's a weird kind of plant in England. It's called rockets. It's delicious, man. Mm-hmm. and in America, when I'm American, I like iceberg. My old-fashioned hamburger. I stick with the iceberg. Mm-hmm. See, it's a good question. Lettuce. What's your favorite lettuce?
What's funny is you can ask simple questions about people and learn a lot from them by their answer.
Yeah.
I mean, really simple questions.
Looks like we got some trolls in the chat.
Oh, good.
Glad somebody took care of that one.
Good.
I know. Lately, I don't know why these people are attacking me for other shows. It's just, I don't know.
You're an easy target. Eric takes it to heart because Eric's got a big heart.
Yeah, so Eric takes it.
When people put him down, Eric takes it. Eric don't like it. He feels bad. I don't feel bad, man.
The hardest advice to receive from anybody is to rise above something, because they're not the ones who are doing it. And you know what really sucks? It's usually the most genuine people, the people who wear their heart on their sleeve, and you always know where you stand with them. The kind of people you want in your frickin' circle are the ones that take it the hardest when somebody starts doing shit like that, right?
Yeah, Eric takes it hard. I'm like, don't take it hard, because Eric's a nice guy. He actually is a nice guy in real life, and so I'm an asshole. He's the nice guy. So I'm like, I feel bad. I go, don't put Eric down, man. Put me down. I'm a dick. I'm a damn good-looking man, which offends a lot of other men because the women look at me. And I get that. I get that a lot. So
it's not easy being the brother who got the brains and the looks. I mean, there's a lot of guilt that comes with that, you know.
I had to grow a beard because I was offending too many males because their women were looking at me. So I had to grow a beard. I'm like, this fucking be a little bit ugly on the outside, but it still works though. I don't know what to do anymore.
I know. I've been married for 25 years. He's not married, so I must be doing something right.
Yeah, you're doing good. Yeah. You're doing fantastic. I'm always pissing the ladies off. But I'm a nice guy too. Only because I'm a scientist.
No, it just
Did we just go to the bathroom with Connor and he just sat down on a toilet? I mean,
Absolutely.
what are we doing here?
I'm on the ground. I'm low battery. This is, my third podcast in a row. So finally the laptop is going.
I know, you've been on 3 shows
charging
in a row.
station.
Yeah, recharging
If
station.
you gotta take a dump, you can just turn the camera off,
Yeah. You'll just hear a couple dumps once in a while.
There was another channel. Bob was calling in to this channel, and he was putting on hold. He put Bob on hold forever. So Bob had the phone with him.
Yeah.
Bob literally went into the bathroom real quick, and while he was doing his bathroom thing, he put him on air.
Yeah. I was like this. So here I am, like this, taking a piss, and I'm just running. It's like a faucet. And I'm like, hello? Am I on the air? You can hear it flowing. Like, oh, man. My bad. I'm in the bathroom right now.
It could have been like Dumb and Dumber right when you answered.
Yeah, I was embarrassed. I told the guy, look, I mean, he was mad at me ever since then. I was like, dude, it was an accident, man. It was just the weirdest thing that you would put me on hold, and then all of a sudden I had to go. I was just draining the main lizard, and so all of a sudden you call in the middle of it. I'm like, it sounds like Niagara Falls going off right now. I said, dude, I had a lot of beer to drink. Now I'm live telling him this stuff as the act is happening, and I'm like,
for me, when I'm in that position, where I'm on hold, doesn't matter if you're calling the doctor's office and you're on hold or whatever, right? I'll think I gotta take a piss really bad, so I'll go take one, and then afterwards I'm staring at the flush lever on the toilet going, I'm going to push that and they're going to answer immediately. So I flush it and quick run out of the bathroom before they take me off hold, just in case.
I had a bad rep to begin with, so it was hard enough to get even answered. I call in and people are like, oh, fuck, it's Robert Wood. Woody, he's got a lot of information, but should we bring him on? I'm like, yeah, you should bring me on. I got a lot to say. I got a lot of important things to say outside of the community that they call themselves. I'm I do the Mandela effect stuff, like, well, the phenomenon. I'm an experiencer. I call it the phenomenon. So I talk about a lot of things that I see that might potentially be a change that some people won't see or have a memory of. But I talk about it, and then it really annoys a lot of people because, like, what are you talking about? It's always been that way. It's like, I know that. And it's correct that it's always been that way. However, for me and my weird ass memory, it has not been that way. So I always try to reach out and tell people you're not crazy because for some reason, whatever this reason is, I have the same memory as you. And then, yeah, I have a lot of enemies with that one, though. Cool.
Well, Bob, what's funny is that channel you're talking about, I won't tell their channel name, but last week,
he's a good guy.
Show, and this person calls in on their channel like, why won't you put those guys on your channel?
Yeah.
Like,
he's talking about the Scare performance. Yeah, Dan from Scare. Yeah, Dan's a good guy. He gave me a shot. It was my fault. I told dude, it's my fault. Of course, I would have hung up on me too. There's no reason why I would not have hung up on me either. Of course, I'm not mad at. I said I ain't mad at you, man. I ain't mad at nobody. It was an accident. And if you have a live show and you're professional, and you might have children. You're not swearing, so you're going through the discipline of not swearing.
He's got no children watching his show.
I don't know. I'm just assuming, but if you're going through the effort to make it clean and stuff, and you have some schmuck like me on there, I'm draining the main lizard, man. It's okay. Like, no, we can't have this guy.
So, Bob, during your time, archaeologist, and with that museum. What was there something like the strangest thing you ever saw that people don't know about? Maybe is there something that you could share that maybe people don't know that you might have saw?
Oh wow! Oh!
Or even something that just intrigued you the most.
Yeah. Well, there is an unusual place, and this has something to do with like Indiana Jones. Now, at the end of the movie Indiana Jones, you see them lock up the Ark of
the Ark.
Yeah, in a case, and they ship it off to a warehouse, and then that fucking warehouse is in the distance, and they kind of drive away from this weird warehouse. That exists. It's in Suitland, Maryland. So I worked for I work for 3 different museums now. I worked for Smithsonian Institute. I worked for Fort Lewis Historical Museum, and I worked for the Museum of Flight. And so this is the first place I worked for. So I was working in the vertebrae department, and I was actually half constructing at the same time, building boxes and having things set up and having that big old band, banding things all together, putting them together with cushions and moving artifacts in there. And so I had to go out to Suitland. And then one of my trades I learned in school and stuff is the CO2 tent. And people don't know what that is. So I'm going to give it a long story short. So we went out to Suitland. Now it's outside of Maryland, and it's just a warehouse on its own. It's just its own unidentifiable, you don't just notice it. It's not something you would see. It's just a big ass old warehouse, but on the outside, but on the inside, it's all beautiful. And it's electronic, man. You got to go through a guard with, it's all padded down. I have security clearance. I go through there, and I set up this tent inside there, and it's pumped CO2 gas. CO2 gas kills every microorganism that you could have on any artifact.
So for preserving, they put rooms like that. Vapor-locked rooms.
Exactly. So I set up the tent. I put all the artifacts that I had brought over from the vertebrae department, and I'm the CO2 guy for them. I put it all in the tent. I have to load all the stuff in. I have tons of stuff to move through the tent, zip it up, pump the CO2, wait 3 days, wearing a full freaking outfit like you'd see in a lab, and then pump all the gas out, and then I take the stuff out, then move it into just what you would think, into this space where everything is put in, and it's all temperature controlled, the whole climate fucking thing, everything, man. So I forget the CO2, and I'm moving now into that room. Now I got to see something that was cool, because my middle name is Theodore, and I was named after Teddy Roosevelt, because my grandfather's name was Theodore, Teddy. So I'm Robert Theodore Wood, Robert T. Wood. So I've always wanted to see Teddy Roosevelt's kill collection. I wanted to see his trophies that he had in the White House. And I got this one section, and all of these big ass bear. Now I have a teddy bear. I've had a teddy bear since I was a kid, because teddy bear comes from Teddy Roosevelt, famous teddy bear. He had his monster, huge Klondike freaking bear stuffed, and I heard about it, and I got to see all of his mounted animals. If you guys, I know some people out there, oh my God, no, it is what it is. I saw them all. All the animals he's ever hunted. I'm like, oh my God. This is because he was a president. These things are kept in there. And I got kicked off. Anyway, so it was Teddy Roosevelt's kick-ass animals. I got to see those. I got to see, was it Sasquatch? I can't remember her name. I can't say it right. I've been drinking beer. But canoes. Yes, the canoes from these historical figures in there, these Native American. I'm like, oh my God. So these are all sacred things. These are things from our government. These are things that are like, I mean, I've actually handled the keys to Hitler's palace. I'm like, it's in my hand. I got to see things, you guys. I can't tell you some of the things I've seen, but I've seen things that I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. This is the thing. I can't tell you what it is, but my God, this thing has done so much. And to go around this warehouse where you have to have security clearance from the FBI, and I've had it before, to see these. Okay, my screen's going off and on, by the way. It's not me doing it. To see these objects are amazing in this place in Suitland, Maryland. I think told Eric about some of the things. But man, yeah, I could just tell you about Teddy Roosevelt's animals, but I saw many things, like many artifacts. Like it was just, oh my God, I could die now. It's off my bucket list. I got to see these things again because I see these things and saw these things in the past. Now that I'm experiencing this phenomenon called the Mandela effect, I can tell you 100% that some of these artifacts, some of these things that are being presented to the public here are not the same. They're incorrect. Okay, they're incorrect. For example, not to go into detail, but I was at the Louvre not too long ago in Paris, and I saw the Mona Lisa, and I asked everybody the same question: what do you remember the Mona Lisa being painted on? And most people, I'm just going to say the answer: canvas. Well, yeah, okay, it was painted on canvas, yeah. Do you remember it being canvas? Yeah. What do you remember it painted on? Well, it was canvas because I watched a movie where they stole the Mona Lisa and they rolled it. You know, all the people that remember from the movie, whatever. No, it's not anymore. It's painted on wood, a plank of freaking wood. I said, I don't have that memory. I remember it being on canvas. I went to the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa. It's on a plank of fucking wood. I said, wow. Oh, wow. What is this about? What's the why? And it's the authentic one or it's a knockoff, but regardless, it's still on a plank of wood. It has to copy the original. So I'm seeing artifacts now that have changed in this place that are not the same. Either being presented as they're either fake or they're real.
Wood. It says right there.
Yeah, it's wood now.
Called portrait on a poplar wood panel.
And most people that I talk to that don't know about the Mandela effect are going, huh? My whole life it was painted on canvas. I said, yeah, congratulations. Same with me. At the University of Washington, we talked about certain canvases and what paints they use and how the color blue is an expensive paint to make. And how blue is a pigment that come much later in antiquity. They didn't have blue in early antiquity. All of a sudden, now you're seeing blue all over Egypt. I don't remember the walls ever having blue paint in Egypt, and blue is a hard paint to make. And now you have an
pigment.
Yeah, the pigment is really hard. And now they've got blue eyes on the Buddha that's thousands of years old. You've got blue in paintings and art. I'm like, where? And just the fact that blue as a pigment color that has just popped up now much earlier in antiquity, to me is blowing me away as a Mandela effect. And I tell people this in the community, they don't, they don't fucking know. They're still stuck on the dash at Kit Kat. I'm like, man, I'm way beyond that, dude.
I think Da Vinci was kind of a visionary in that he understood that at the point when he painted that, he had witnessed other paintings become treasured and valuable.
Yeah,
Back then, it wasn't just people painting stuff not knowing what would be good and what would be cherished and what wouldn't. And I think when he was going to paint something that he felt was really authentic, he would paint it on wood for a reason, because he understood that down the road in the future that it's too easy to copy a canvas. If somebody could actually recreate with authentic old paints what he did, that I could take canvas and mimic the canvas that he used by finding something else painted on an old canvas of the same time frame and redo it. Whereas wood, you're talking about species testing, the humidity level in the wood, the density. Boy, if you knew exactly what kind of wood and it was documented that he painted it on, and the way the grain flowed on the wood and things like that, how in the hell would you ever copy it? You couldn't.
It must be what you're correct, because that's what it's on. That would be the history here. And part of my research is I'm trying to find the back, like you said, why in this memory, in this place, why in my memory it was on canvas. Why now is it on wood? Because of what you said, because it would last longer, maybe transport easier. There's 100, like I went to look at, Oxford is one of the original prints for the Bible. So the Bible was put into Proto-Arabic, and then Hebrew to Arabic, and then Arabic to Latin, and then Latin to English goes down the line. And I want to know why there was a print now. It says that the wolf will dwell with the lamb when it used to be lion in my memory. And I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. I want to find this out. I don't care that it's a Mandela effect. I want to know where it got changed. So I went back to find out. I looked at the earliest Bible I can find in Manchester in one of these big, beautiful, Gothic-ass libraries. I got my white gloves and I've got my credentials and the passport. I've worked at the museums and looked at it, and there it is, man. Canine is blah, 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 blah. There's the wolf. So the wolf has always been there, always been there. It's been there in the past. So I'm trying to figure out, did something happen in the past? Where did it happen in the past that changed into the future? I'm not down with this shit just changes like a magic fucking switch. I want to know where in the past, because something in the past has changed and rippling into the future, changing everything up to the future. And I explain these to people, but they have the current memory. And it's like, nah, it's always been a wolf. I said, actually, you were correct. It ain't my argument. I want to know who changed it. Where did it come from? Did the Nazis win the war? Did they build a time machine that we don't know about and put things back? Because when I worked at the historical, I worked at Fort Lewis, and I worked at the Museum of Flight. I saw we had this place called the whole crew model cases, and all these airplanes are in cases. And these are airplanes that were in schematics only. They were never built. They were designed for war, but they were never built because it was so many of these Germans were coming up with these engineers. And then all of a sudden, after 2016, I started seeing this technology from these schematics that were only in models that are now on airplanes. It's like, how did they were only ever on models. They were never put into production. But here's the plane. It's here now. So did something happen in Operation Paperclip? Did they build a fucking time machine? Did they actually go back in the past? Did the Nazis win the war? No, I know this all sounds crazy because it is only plausible, and I call it a low plausibility. But I'm trying to find out, did somebody go into the past to create this, what we call the phenomenon currently as the Mandela effect?
Bigfoot Bud says, wish my 70s Farrah Fawcett poster was on wood. I'd still have it.
Now, if people in the chat, if you guys want to have fun, go back and watch this video, because when Bob talks about teddy bears, on this one video that we did called The Meatballs and Twister, I show so many clips of all these bears just started to show up. It was for fun. It was like,
teddy bears.
Because Bob talking about teddy bears.
Teddy bears.
Teddy bear in Twister. There's a teddy bear in Poltergeist. There's a teddy bear here. It's
They've
just like
showing up in
bears
movies
everywhere.
I'm like, okay, I understand you have a memory of what this is. I'm not going to give you any answers. What do you think is weird when you watch this scene? They say, unusual, but I don't remember a teddy bear there. I said, exactly. Okay. What do you see in this one that's unusual? I don't remember the teddy bear. There's like this teddy bear that kept popping up in all these
something
movies.
about Bob and teddy bears. It just
I'm like, me and teddy bears and all these movies. I'm like, I'm not manifesting. I don't know what's going on with this, but I'm trying to debunk it. I'm trying to go out there, and there's a lot of Mandela effect channels, and these guys have some memories, very small. I don't know if they're just locals that woke up, like that movie, the Cowboys that like they're in a cowboy world, Westworld. Yeah, it reminds me of Westworld, where people are just starting to wake up with like alternative memories, but they're not 100% sure. They're not going to disrupt their own life. They're not going to change anything about what they're doing. They're going to continue with their job. But yeah, they have an alternative memory. Just don't know why. So I'm trying to go out and try to figure out where they're coming from. What is it in antiquity that's changed to cause the ripple effect that we are in now seeing the change? So that's
and enlightenment. What happened is called the Great Meltification, aka the Great Reset that melted the realm. Old technology of Germans was from the ancient people of the world that the people called the Nephilim. There are ginormous tunnels underneath New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles that these ancient people built. And there are some crazy stories that talk about how the waterfalls are ancient plumbing systems of the old. This earth is 10% of what it used to be. And there are so many things that go in every direction. But the mud flood is very interesting. Tartaria, all the lost, ancient Atlantis, the true Eden, the giants that used to realm this existence. It's truly amazing. And it's crazy how
what I find
this modern society is. It truly does show the Nazis won. Again, if they worship the globe, NASA is all Nazi propaganda. So I'm looking around like, yeah, the Nazis won.
Well, people need to understand that oftentimes when there is an inconsistency, like Bob was talking about earlier with the wolf and the lamb and the lion and the lamb, right?
Yeah.
That I did some reading on that too when I was in college on that change and what would have provoked that reference change. And a lot of times that's where you start questioning is the motive. Why would something have been changed? Not necessarily when or proving the fact that it was, but the first question sometimes you ask is why would it have been? What was the motive? And really, if you think about that, the whole wolf and the lamb reference, if you think about wolves almost always exist in areas that will experience snowfall at some time during a year. They're not hot climate creatures, they're cold climate creatures, okay? And it could be possible that the early renditions of the Bible, as they were passed on through centuries from generations to generations and reprinted and re-scripted, that the wolf and the lamb reference could have sparked controversy as to, now we're going to argue geography. Did this actually happen in this part of a land where it's referenced in the Bible? Because wolves were over here but not there.
Correct.
So they change a reference to a lion and a lamb so that it's a little more accepted and it's not argued as to the validity of the story. In the end, it's often like, do you understand the story? It's not the Hollywoodization of it. Ignore that. It's the story, right? And that I learned that this is a funny story. I learned that principle when I was in Tampa, Florida for a business deal. And I was there for like 4 days. And one morning I had a layover on a flight. I couldn't make that flight. So now I had a whole next day to kill where I didn't really have anything planned. And I was sitting in the lobby having a cup of coffee, and you'll never guess who I was sitting next to.
Who?
Rudy Rudiger from the movie Rudy, the real Rudy Rudiger. Okay, he was there speaking at a corporate event. He's a motivational speaker. And we were just shooting the shit, right? And I said, "What are you up to?" He goes, "I got nothing planned today." I said, "Neither do I." He says, "You want to go fishing?" "What do you mean?" I said, "Let's get a boat, just charter a boat and go fishing." He goes, "Okay." And I just met him 10 minutes before this. We went fishing all day. And I'm on a boat with Rudy Rudiger. I've got him cornered now, right? He can't get off that boat. And what do? I bombard him with the same 100 questions that he's asked every damn day, but over and over, and like Groundhog Day for him, right? Like, did they really use 24 karat gold paint on the helmets and and his response over and over was, about 70% of that movie is scripted to truth, and 30% of it's just the Hollywoodization, right? In this scene, this happened. And then in this scene, it happened. And then this scene, it's happened. But to bridge those scenes together, we got to patch in stuff that maybe isn't completely true just so that we can get the story to line up in a tellable way, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't change the impact of the story or the message of the story, right?
Yeah.
And he asked me all the time, he said, "Well, I get why you're asking that, but did you get the point of the story?" He kept saying, "Did you get the point of the story?" And I said, "Dude, I totally got it." And now he helped me understand that sometimes for people, when they're trying to look at explanations as to why is this inconsistency not match that inconsistency, sometimes we look at in that time period, They were trying to project that message, whether it's in the Bible, whether it's throughout history. There are factual events that are portrayed in the telling of that story, and they are linked together with little pieces of fiction just to help them. It's the glue, really. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then we find ourselves hundreds of years later looking at it, picking apart the glue, questioning the glue.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to figure out why everyone has the misremembering. What is that when?
Well, Bob,
Jeff, we have a mutual friend. Rudy signed this to me a long time ago. Connor.
I got something here. I'm gonna grab it quick. Hold on.
No, that's why I love Jeff, because I think a lot of people in the Mandela community kind of didn't like Bob and I, because we started to do the show where, okay, let's just say it's real. There's a change. Now let's figure out why. Because something doesn't change just to change. If there's a physical change, there's a reason why. And then Bob and I start doing shows about picking apart on why. And that's where the fun is. You can learn so much about if it's real or not. Bob and I did a show about Monopoly, believe it or not. We did a show on Monopoly, the Monopoly, what happened to the glasses. We did such a study. We went all the way back to a woman who technically invented the game. A guy stole it from her, sold it for millions. I mean,
yeah,
the fun of it was discovering why. And when people make fun of the Mandela effect, don't look at it that way. Look at it as, if there's a change and you believe there's a change, you got to ask yourself, why is there a change? And trying to figure that out. What's the clue for this change? And I'm telling you, you will learn so much of the history that you did not know it existed.
Well, yeah, I guess now, Jesus was hung in a tree now, and he was only ever hung on a cross at that time. Now he's on a tree.
You think anybody's going to get this? Some people might. The original game Monopoly, what was the original game called? Does anybody know what the original Monopoly game called?
See, I never knew it's a new in this timeline, so I don't know what that is. I forgot something.
I bet you nobody's going to get it in the chat. Maybe one person will. What was the original Monopoly game called?
I can't remember. We researched the whole thing. It's all new, though. That's why it's like I can't remember, because it's fucking brand new.
It's called
new.
The original game is called the Landlord game.
The Landlord game. That's right.
It was invented,
real estate.
A woman invented this because the rich people were buying up all the land. You know? And she was trying to teach the poor people, the young people, that you could do it too. You can also buy land. And you're a real estate guy, Jeff. You know that. And she tried to teach them through a game called the Landlord game.
But
it was the exact same Monopoly. And this guy told his friend, he found out, took it, renamed it, and sold it to Parker Brothers for millions. And when she sold it, she only got $500.
Well, let me say this. From what my memory comes from, there was a lot of men who invented or made these things, and in this reality, whatever reason is, Nazis, I don't fucking know. There is a switch for masculine to feminine in this place. We call it the Tom Cruise. Someone got Tom Cruise. Now, Tom Cruise, we all know, wore sunglasses and a white shirt, and he danced across the floor in the movie Risky Business. But now he's in a pink shirt and never had sunglasses, and he's completely different. He's been demasculated. He's a feminine looking. A lot of males in this place have switched to feminine looking or feminine sounding. A lot of masculinity has become feminine, and a lot of famous, and nothing against females, good for them. A lot of famous females are popping up in antiquity that I've never heard of, that have done all these things and have accomplished a lot of these things in this place. And a lot of people of color, of nationalities, have invented things that are now coming to light in this place. And in my reality, they didn't invent anything like that, but they did here. A lot of females are strong, and males have become feminine. It's a switch. A lot of things seemed to have switched in my research. Does it make it true? No, it's because I'm a schmuck and I'm just kind of giving my own opinion. I call it they got Tom Cruise. A lot of people have gotten Tom Cruise, I call it. They've switched the way you remember Elvis Presley, the machismo man he is, the king that he is, had a snarl like that. Now he doesn't snarl. If you guys go back and look at his stuff, he never snarls. He's always had just a regular face and shook it up. But
you're seeing that feminization of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And it's happened a lot just in the last couple of decades.
Oh, yes.
And, one of the things that, not to get, too spiritual with people, but that's one of the things that has been a big deal in the Christian church is the feminization of the Christian church. There's a pastor, a rather famous pastor, who did an interview and he offended a lot of people when he said it, but he said, listen, I can't believe in a Jesus that sits at Starbucks and sips on lattes in wearing a pair of pants that looks like they were made for my 10-year-old daughter. Yeah. The Jesus that I believe in was riding on a horse with blood dripping down his face, and he had a tattoo down his leg that said Lord of Lords.
Yeah.
And that's what Revelation describes Jesus as, riding that horse, covered in blood with a tattoo down his leg that said King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And yet we're trying to depict Jesus as some hippie, tree-hugging, freaking, it's no wonder that, and I'm just using that as an example because in the church, that's an issue. It's an issue in a lot of areas of culture right now.
It has switched.
We're demasculization of
Jesus switched. No, Jesus, in my memory and timeline at university, when I studied the Bible and certain chapters, he was portrayed as the lion. A lion is a feline. It's actually feminine. Now, a lot of things that Jesus did was not feminine, but it was a very soft, like you said, hippie-ish. In my own memory, in this place, it has switched. Now he's the wolf, and a wolf is masculine. He switched to feminine to masculine. Now I'm just saying, people, it's in my theory probably wrong. He switched from feminine to masculine. Now he has references in there that are pretty, like you described, pretty badass. He's not only hung on a cross, but now he's hung in a tree, and Odin himself was hung in a tree in paganism, which I'm a pagan. In paganism, Odin hung himself in a tree, and now Jesus is now portrayed being hung in a tree. Hints of paganism to it. There's a lot of masculinity in the Bible that people don't remember. A lot of females are being offended by the Bible changes. They call it the phenomenon of the Mandela effect. They're offended by it. There's a lot of words for maidens, virgins, blood. There's a lot of aggressive male speak in the Bible.
Let me ask a question. And Bob, this is just a question.
Yeah.
This is not. There's how many? About hundreds of different Bibles with different kind of writings in it.
Yeah.
So if you have so many different Bibles, I haven't even read one, I admit. But how do we know what's real in the Bible when there's just too many, and every Bible, every culture writes it differently?
You got to go to the original. So you got to go back. You got to go back. So you have the King James version, which was rewritten, the one initial King James back in England before everybody spread out outside of England, outside of the, they had the one initial rewrite by King James. It was the rewrite into English so he can get divorced, basically. So the rewrite.
It was a time of Luther, Martin Luther. The Catholic Church, unfortunately, back then was, really for sale. Salvation had a price on it, a real price.
Oh, the popes, yeah.
You give us this, you pay us this penance, this pittance today, and we'll give you a little piece of paper that says you get to bypass purgatory and go straight to heaven.
Yeah,
cost $5. And that's where Martin Luther had the fundamental problem with, you guys have poisoned the church, and the King James was rewritten into different versions. And once it was rewritten once, that opened up the acceptance of rewriting it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
The message primarily stays the same. It's the verbiage. One doesn't have all the these and the,
Yeah.
But, the one thing that, like this pastor I was telling you about, he said, what it comes down to is I can't believe in a Jesus that I can beat up.
Yeah. The new one is badass. I'm just saying. The new one is more masculine in this place here in Orion's Spur or whatever the hell this constellation is. If you believe in that, this is the one. He's way more masculine. He's not Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise reversed. Now he's feminine. Jesus is masculine. The Statue of Liberty, which used to be on Ellis Island, is now on some weird ass island I don't fucking know the name of, but it's on Woodfort. That's all I care about. Now she looks masculine. So a lot of switches and a lot of word changes. I found out with the Mandela effect community, they say, oh, the spellings changed. I said, yeah, what you're not seeing is, as an anthropologist and someone who knows literature, I'm telling you that the word has now become feminine to masculine or masculine to feminine. It's
funny that you use Tom Cruise as an example, because the first thing I think of is Jack Reacher. If you read all the Jack Reacher books, Jack Reacher was 6'5", weighed about 240, had 0% body fat, and he'd kick the living shit out of anybody. And now we make it into a movie, and we got little Tom Cruise playing Jack Reacher. It's like, if you read the books, the movie was like, what the hell? I love the way the movies flowed. How badass he ended up being. But physically, that wasn't Jack Reacher. Tom Cruise is not Jack Reacher.
Right. Have you seen the new trailer for the new TV show?
They got a lot bigger dude on there. That looks like I can't kick that guy's ass.
Yeah, that's Alan Richardson. He was also in Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles, and he became famous from Blue Mountain State. Thad Castle. And I came up watching Blue Mountain State, so seeing him, get these bigger roles is freaking awesome. I'm really excited. Yes, Tom Cruise is like 5'6", but he's nifty. But yes, everything is being feminized.
But the epitome of what we were talking about is in correlation with the Jack Reacher thing. You got these series of books. You got a Hollywood producer saying, dude, we got to make a movie out of these. It'd be perfect. And they're looking at the demographic saying, well, we can get guys to come to this. It'll be badass. But if we get a little pretty boy who's 5'7" on a good day,
pink shirt
with a pink shirt, who's still badass, but isn't such a big Hulk, we'll capture more women in the viewership. And that's what happens.
When I saw everything has switched. It's switched from masculine to feminine to now there's the sacred feminine. And in this place now, when I was in the military, I can find maybe a handful of people that remember like I do. I played chess in the Navy. We checkmated the queen in the game of chess. Most people, at 99.9% of the people, do not remember that. Like, dude, what are you talking about? We've always checkmated the king to win the game. You would be correct. It's always been that way, this place. I don't know how and why I have the memory of checkmating a queen. I've done it my whole life. I've at school. I've learned how to play with the Punjabs.
Well, remember the Red Hot Chili Pepper song? I forgot the name of the song. They checkmated the queen
to win the game. Yeah, and so that memory is very small and a very small, unique group of people. They're not special.
If you're going to base it on the actual art of humanization to the game, as the king, do I give a shit if you come against me? Come against me all you want, but if you take the queen, you basically killed me at that point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, in the romance of the real objective of conquering the other side. Yeah, you can kill their king. There's another king in line. You take the queen, and you've offended everybody.
Yeah. In the game of chess, the rules were you have to checkmate in this place, which is correct. You checkmate the king to win for the big move. In my memory, you've always checkmated the queen to win the game. And that's a very hardly anybody has. Even people in the community are like, Robert Wood, you're a fucking weirdo. You got a bad memory. Like, yeah, well, whatever. I must have learned wrong in the military. I must have learned wrong my entire life because it was always checkmating the queen in the fucking game of chess. But now it's switched, and there's the king is dominant. That word king is dominant here. There's a strong emphasis for king, 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 king. in all the changes that I'm seeing. It's either went feminine to masculine to feminine, and there's a battle. There's some sort of battle between masculine and feminine in some sort of reality that we're in right now, or some sort of dichotomy between the two. There is a battle that people that have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, can see it, or you can't see it. But that battle is there. There is something. There's some sacred feminine magic that's real strong. Good for them. I'm not against it. I'm an independent, chaotic, neutral, anthropological observer only, like Connor. We're not taking sides.
I'm just throwing out quotes, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Space is the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
There you go.
Nikaitis is friends with, Bill Clinton's buddy. So who knows about that guy? And then in all the Bibles, all 120 million versions, Earth takes shape like clay pressed under a steel. Look that one up, guys. Those who know. I believe in heaven.
People, that's what I'm talking about. They research everything. There's nothing that's off the table. Everything can be researched. I mean, everything, because you never know. You never know. I remember somebody said on a channel that the reason he tells people his story is not to change people's mind, is just in case if they're ever in a situation, if something familiar like that has changed, they might have a better idea on how to deal with it. Nobody here is saying all this is true or not.
No.
But it's good to hear different theories, different stories, because you never know. Because I've heard thousands of people that said they fall into a rabbit hole, falling into a Matrix community, in a Mandela effect community, community, Bigfoot. They all fall. They're all falling down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
When you listen to different stories, different people, it might help you one day.
It helps people out. I try to help people out. I'm like, number one, get off drugs. Stick with the naturals, ferments, and what grows in the ground or out of the ground. You're okay. Always question everything. And if you have a misremembering, but a large group or a group has the same memory, don't throw it out. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Relax. Write it down what you remember. Connect with other people that might remember the same thing. They might just be going along with you because they're going to get into your wallet, or they might actually remember what you remember.
Bob, it's no coincidence that some of the most prophetic things and most impactful things that have ever been written pen to paper are by lyricists and musicians over the centuries. And even lately, I mean, we were just quoting Red Hot Chili Peppers. What I think of that's a good example of that is Perry from Jane's Addiction.
Yes.
He had a verse where he speaks the verse, but in one of them, he just stops and says, some people should die. That's just unconscious knowledge.
Right. I love that.
Now, listen, if we're going to say, it's wrong to do this, that, you look at these animals that we've encountered throughout life, the Saddam Husseins and running people through pop bottle shredders and shit like that, right? I mean, look, I like to think, who are we to judge? And, all these things that people want to put out there, they'll be judged by a higher power than me. It's not listen, some people should die. That's just unconscious knowledge. People don't want to admit that to themselves. But there are people on this earth that are so evil that they need to die. And as a musician, he, whether he smoked enough weed to get there or whatever, but at some point he was sitting there one night and made that statement because it came from the purest recognition of mankind and its ability to exuberate evil.
Perry Farrell, Jane's Addiction. I've seen almost every. Eric and I will watch every.
Did you ever watch the documentary that they did?
No.
Talk about the
movie The Gift. I remember the movie The Gift.
They have a
Listen,
whatever it is, he reaches in it. He has a pet eel, and he pulls it out and says, "These things can withstand anything." And he thumps it on the table and puts it back in, and it swims around normal, and it's fine.
Yeah,
I just remember that part of that show, but it was early. I mean, like, I was a huge fan of theirs, like in the late 80s, early 90s, when they were kind of just starting to come out in the early 90s. But right away, they had this kind of behind the scenes type documentary about them. And I don't remember what it was called, but it was a cool show.
Very for real.
Yeah,
he had
Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza. I went to several Lollapaloozas. Yeah, a lot of his songs are religious. People don't know it now. He's Jewish. People don't know he's Jewish, and one of his songs is was it 40 days, 40 whatever. He goes coming down the mountain. It's like,
that's the mountain song.
Mountain song, yeah. That's about Moses coming down the mountain, and people don't know that. Like a lot of his songs are Hebrew because he's Jewish.
In the song, he said, "Everybody has their own opinions. Everybody has their own opinions."
I'm still a diehard fan. Jane says, "I'm through with Sergio."
Oh, Ocean Size. The song Ocean Size was amazing.
Yeah. I love this other band, Porno for Pyros.
Oh, yeah, Porno for Pyros. That's what the other one he came out with. Yeah. I'm a big fan. Oh, yeah. I used to make surfboards and bodyboards. I used to go surfing. We'd rock Jane's Addiction. We used to kick it on the beach.
But he's just a good example that when you listen to the lyrics, I mean, even the song I just mentioned, Ocean Size, he says, "I wish I was ocean size. No one touched me. No one tries." I mean, the ability to imagine what, I mean, just so many lyrics are such shit these days. I mean, they're just. And then you read some of these lyrics that are so deep from some of these musicians, and you realize that they had this mental breakthrough. It wasn't just that they were creative and they could find words that rhyme from line to line in a verse. They were telling stories that existed here. And I mean,
here's the thing. Now, in the same subject, a lot of these Mandela effect phenomenon word changes are in 80s songs. 80s songs and like late 70s to 80s songs and a little bit into the early 90s. People our age and Connor's age, like get right up to that point where they could start seeing the changes, and a lot of the lyrics, oddly enough, are from the 80s songs. The 80s, it's like something happened. There was this bubble of maturity, of just like this psychedelic, perfect. I mean, the music, they couldn't get it wrong in the 80s.
And even they started expressing kind of a sarcastic approach to it, making fun of things. Like I think about Accept, their song Balls to the Wall.
Yeah.
And there's a point where he says, "Let's stick a bomb up everyone's ass."
Yeah,
it's like he's talking about war, but he's like, just stick a bomb up everyone's ass, like blow everybody up. Then who's going to fight, right?
Yeah, the 80s. It was like this. It was this. It doesn't matter what your genre was. It was hard rock, heavy metal, a hair band, alternative. They all had message. It was message music. It was, and a lot of it was a lot of truth drop music that kind of mimics what's happening now.
There were kind of pioneers in it too. Because I think this phenomenon stretched over genres, but like when you listen to really early U2 albums, like Boy, and really the I Will Follow, those kind of songs.
Bloody Sunday.
You start hearing those messages that they were putting out because they didn't grow up in a real great culture. They grew up in a modern, chaotic time in Ireland.
Yeah.
And they spoke about things in their songs that had a lot of realism. And they weren't known as a Christian band, but they were kind of coming out as this band that it's like music with morals, so to speak, because they didn't sing about drugs and sex and all that stuff. They sang about these real things that, and I think other bands saw that, not just from them, but there was a few others that were doing it and said, look, let's get real with these messages we're putting up. They don't have to be about sitting at the drive-in with your girlfriend and shit like that, right?
Yeah. No, you're 100% correct.
U2 sound, the sound was developed because they actually wanted to play American country.
Yeah. But the Edge, one of the things that he developed was, and I seen this in a really obscure documentary about him, is one of the things that he pioneered. I mean, there's certain musicians that pioneered different things. Peter Frampton pioneered the talk box, right? And then Bon Jovi started using it, and all these other bands came along, the wah wah wah, talk boxing. U2, what the Edge did was he used dual delay pedals that ping pong back and forth and would create, like, he'd set one delay at, let's say, 20 milliseconds, and he'd set another one at like 34 milliseconds, so that they don't, it's like when they're ping ponging back and forth, like every 12th beat, they cross on the same line. Yeah. Okay. So you hear these like archaic kind of ethereal type delays, and it's like, it's like I can't catch the pattern, and then all of a sudden there the pattern is, right? And he started messing around with these delays, and he had a little 4-track recorder that he'd just sit in his little apartment with his guitar and do different delay patterns that fought each other. They were just archaic delays. Amazing. And whenever Bono would say, hey, I wrote some lyrics to something, let's see if we can come up with something, they'd go through his whole library of all these tapes, hundreds and hundreds of tapes, and find that right delay pattern. And isn't that cool? Where the Streets Have No Name, the beginning, that delay in it, he had recorded that delay like when he was a kid, 13 years before that song was ever recorded. Awesome. They found a little cassette tape and listened to it, and they said, that freaking sounds awesome. And they used that.
Yeah, they had it.
I mean, he was kind of a pioneer with the whole delay thing. And different bands there are some bands throughout time have kind of made their mark on the music industry from that point on, just on some of the things they pioneered,
Yeah. Well, a lot of the songs from that time are relevant now. I went back to listen. I'm not an old fogey, the modern music, whatever, man. I went back to listen to the old music. And I'm like, there's a lot of songs that really capture what's happening now. I'm like, they were foreshadowing things. They call it the truth drop, like in all the Simpsons shows. They were doing the 9/11. Every time you turn around, it's always been that way here. In this place that we're at right now, where you're living presently, I don't care what you want to call it, the back of the turtle, I call it. This whole place has been pre-planned. It's been planned. The songs from the 70s and 80s are telling you about what's happening now. The Bible in Revelations with an S, how I remember it, is telling you what's happening now. I don't care what your religion is. Whatever religion you come from, it's telling you what's happening now. All of this is coming to pass right now. All the changes that people are experiencing, it's expressing what's happening now. It's telling you to keep your eyes awake, keep them open, because it's really happening. Yeah, it's happening right now. We're in it. We're in the throes of what's going on right now. I'll tell people, think about your future. Think about this now, but also think about what's happening presently, because something's coming down the pike. We'll tell everybody right fucking now, something is going to happen. It's going to happen. Trust me. I've been saying this since 2000. Everything I've said since 2016 has come to pass. People that watch my shit, they're like, my God, you've called it out. Yeah, I called it. I already knew it.
It kind of goes, it just goes full circle, not in necessarily, like fashion goes full circle, right? Oh, yeah. Like right now you see kids pegging the bottom of their jeans and stuff like we did in the 80s, right? But I mean, music doesn't necessarily, the sound doesn't go full circle. It's the messages that do.
Yes.
I think a lot of times I'll go through I've got playlists from like the 70s and 80s, songs that I remember when I was like 9 years old. My mom would be playing Fleetwood Mac and shit like that.
Yeah,
and listening to some of this music, and it's not the music that repeats itself, it's the messages. One song that I think is I guess if I'm going to make a top 10 of my favorite songs throughout all time, all genres, one of them is Red Rider's Lunatic Fringe. You listen to the vocals in the song Lunatic Fringe and the lyrics that he's talking about. You tell me that doesn't apply right today.
Right now.
He wrote that before the Great Wall and the whole Cold War thing. He wrote that in the mid 80s,
Yeah.
Look at all the stuff that's happened since then, and yet you listen to those lyrics, it's like he's talking about all the current events that are happening right now.
Well, let me show you a band cover that represents the future. Somebody mentioned this band in the chat. I know it's an 80s hair band, but look at this. This is Warren. Dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking rich. You telling me that's not what's his name? Our president? Our ex-president.
Trump.
Doesn't that look like Donald Trump? Dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking rich. If that's not telling the future, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it all is. I'm trying to tell people. A lot of people are experiencing these synchronicities where songs are being played at the right moment, at the right time, almost giving them a God message. And they're like, "Oh, I feel crazy." No, you're not feeling crazy. I get these weird songs. It's on random. It'll play perfect for the situation I'm in. And it'll be completely different songs. For example, I was walking to the pot shop back in my old house, and I got the headphones in, and I'm looking at this tree. I've never seen this tree here before, and I was like, "What the fuck is this weird tree doing here?" And there was flute music being played. I didn't even notice it. I went back. I was like, "My God!" It kind of matches the mood I was in looking at the tree. Like it was reading my mind. Then as I cruise down the street, I'm looking at two guys wearing hoods over their head, and they're working on their car. Now, they look threatening. They literally want to kick my ass. Yeah, they want to kick my ass. Are they probably just decent guys just working on the car? It's cold. They're wearing most likely 99%. Yes, they're probably nice, decent guys, but they look a little threatening to me. So as I'm walking up, I'm going to keep my P's and Q's. I'm not going to give them. I'm not going to dog anybody. I'm not going to be a dickhead. I'm not going to interrupt them. But I have noticed the song that was on, and it was Eminem, whatever the build up thug song he had. I can't remember the
Lose Yourself.
What is it?
Lose Yourself.
Yeah. It was like, why would I don't have him in my favorites? I don't have him. The song is playing, so I'm like, and I'm feeling it, and I'm walking by, but I'm okay, so I'm relaxed. As I get closer to the shop, the reggae comes on, and I'm seeing the pot shop down in the street, and this layback song comes on, and I'm like, reggae is playing right now, and I'm thinking about weed, and I'm like, this is surreal. What's going on? Everything I did, this song was appropriate for what was happening. I said, this is obviously a coincidence, obviously, but it kept happening. And I talked to other people like, I'm having the same kind of weird thing too. It's like the song is appropriate and it's on random, but it's appropriate for what I'm doing at the time. Completely different genre of music, but it's appropriate for what I'm doing. Feels that way.
I get deja vu sometimes. A lot of people don't know this, but I spent 7 years touring with a band that I fronted and I wrote music for, and I really enjoyed doing it. And then I ended up, as my kids were getting older, it's like, this isn't going to work for me. But I find songs that I wrote literally like 10, 15 years ago about circumstances or what the song is about. I wasn't experiencing anything related to that at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. But the words just came really easy for me. Man, as I'm writing these lyrics, I'm like, oh man, this is really working out. And the melodies and the music and come up with the guitar parts and the percussion, and it was just so easy, right? And then I won't listen to it. There's a song I haven't listened to for like 2 years. And then I'm listening to it one day and it's like, this song is like ministering to me. It's like, dude, this is what I'm going through right now, right?
Relevant.
And I wrote the fucking thing like 13 years before,
Yeah,
it's so crazy.
I've heard that
what we're gonna do is we're gonna wind down. I gotta close out. I know a lot of people I saw in the chat, they're all about to go to bed. I know on the East Coast it's 3 hours ahead of time, but I'll go around the table, let everybody say their last thing. I'll just let you guys know Christmas is Saturday, and I'm actually putting together a 24-hour Bigfoot marathon on my channel. Just 24 hours of different videos. I already got set up where Pine Island Research, one of his videos on there. Bigfoot's on there. I got a lot of Bigfoot videos on this 24-hour thing. Now, some channels won't be on there. You think it should because they won't allow their content to be on Indy's channel. They'll take it down. I put up videos on there where I feel the people that aren't going to try to take it down say, I don't want that on there. You take it all down. So it's just going to be a 24 hours just on of different Bigfoot videos. So that's what's going on with me for Saturday. Bob, what do you got going on? You want to tell anybody about anything?
Oh, gosh.
Long Island Bigfoot, you're on there too. You're actually, the whole 24 hours going to start off with you, buddy. Just letting you know.
I can't say much what I'm doing because I don't want to. Anyway, I will be out and about. I'm doing a lot of weird things, so I will be out, and then we'll try to make a video here and there from whatever I'm at, whatever I'm doing. Something philosophical, something whatever non-philosophical, something I don't give a shit about, something I hope people don't give a shit about. So, that's what I'll be doing. So you guys,
this is for Connor. Connor, I know he wants to talk about what's going on with this conference that he's going to be going to on January 22nd.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, this is the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, pretty much the biggest conference on this side of the Mississippi and definitely in Florida. Lauren Coleman, awesome author. I actually have his book right here, so I'm going to get it autographed by him. RPG, Marie DeMont, Lyle Blackburn, and Maria Mayor from Expedition Bigfoot. And then you got Stacy Brown, Robert Robinson, Dave Sidoti, and your boy, Connor Flynn. And what's funny is they spelled it Conner. And you know my character in The Void Cat, that's how you spell his name. So they spelled it wrong. And he's taken over. You know, the curse is taken over. But I'm really excited for that event. It was so magical last year, just running around, taking videos and inviting people or interviewing people, and met Mogion Monster and, you know, Tim T and met Central Florida Matt, a bunch of cool people, you know. And now I'm definitely even more established, and I'm one of the speakers there. So good luck to the audience because they going to get it all, man. And I'm super excited because that's some in real life atmosphere and also just action. And then there's a VIP dinner the night before. And then we're also filming a documentary the week before in the Green Swamp. So super stoked. I'm also going to be part of the next Bigfoot Odyssey 168. Got some crazy plans with Bigfoot, or not Bigfoot Odyssey. Well, Bigfoot Odyssey too, but with Outcast Paranormal. It's about to be like, you know, Discovery level, Discovery Channel level. And we're getting Netflix cameras set up because to get on Netflix, you have to have a certain camera to film with. So we're getting that all ready. And 2022 is just going to be so major. Of course, just signed a book deal with Beyond the Fray. So we're re-putting out all 4 of the original books and then 2 more new ones. Just big plans, you know, and then got a few podcasts lined up for the next week. And I'm starting my own show here very soon. I can't wait to have all 3 of you guys on as different guests and really contribute my avenue as a journalist and just a host, because I feel I've, you know, definitely grown accustomed to this. I've always interviewed people and I know what questions to ask. And I know how to, you know, help a conversation flow. Some people would, of course, get a good laugh on that because some interviews, as Eric, you know, it's researcher's report, baby. You getting facts per minute. But, you know, as people watch on this show, you know, I could definitely shut up once in a while and Dr. Wu, you know, rattles and cages. But I'm definitely looking forward to the future. Check out the TikTok, man. Freaking Flat Rock Boogers most recent upload just hit 300,000. Amber Paranormal, she just hit 1 million on one of her videos, so she paved the way, man. And then we manifested it. So huge things coming. About to hit 30,000 followers. So, you know, once the momentum hits, 100,000 is, you know, a couple months away, and that's going to be really crazy. So I'm super pumped. Just keep the momentum going. Keep the skeptics running in place, man. Treadmills are bad for your knee, guys. You know, I try telling y'all that.
And people, subscribe to her channel, Anna's Paranormal. She's close to 1,000 subscribers. She's close.
I'll
She's
get
at
there.
974. Let's help her, man. She's honest. She's like us. She's a researcher. She's she's just working like a living like any one of us. She's a regular, real person. So check her channel out. Subscribe to her channel. Let's get her over 1,000. She deserves it. So what do you got going on, Jeff? You're the last of the circle.
Well, I don't know why anybody putting together a round table that has Connor at it thinks they need 3 other people at it, because Connor could fill all 4 seats at once. Doesn't make. They could have saved some money and just had Connor do it. But well, this Monday night on my channel, I've got Darby Orcutt on, and he is a leading DNA specialist from one of the most advanced labs in the United States, major university lab. We're going to be talking about DNA and eDNA and what people think they know about it and what it really is and what it's capable of and how we're going to use it in the new Legend Meets Science 2 documentary that'll be coming out next year. And then after that episode, I don't really know. I haven't thought too much in the future as far as guests for the show, but I do have a laundry list of ones that I have said that would come on. I just got to put out the new schedule for January for that. And then I'm going to start doing some of the filming for the documentary on the Indian mounds, the Blood Run documentary. We're going to get that started and rolling. So, and that'll be nice. It's like a little bit of a vacation for me because it's outside of the Bigfoot realm. It's a little bit different.
But it sounds exciting. Sounds like it's energizing you. It's like giving you something to do. Well,
it's funny because earlier in the beginning when I came on and Connor was talking about documentaries and him having that gift to be able to make documentaries, and I've got the resources to be doing that too now. And it's like when I hear somebody tell me a story about something, or I'm learning something about a site, or the archaeological value or the spiritual significance of a location from somebody, I process that, and when I hear it, I think, man, that'd be a cool somebody should do a documentary on that, right? But while they're telling that story, if there's a mystery where all of a sudden it's like, well, why did they do that? Well, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Something was covered up. That's when I start feeling like, I should do a documentary on that. Not somebody, but I should be doing a documentary. That's kind of what happened with this Indian Mound thing. There is a supernatural weird deal that is not easily explainable. There is no plausible explanation for it. And so not only would it be educational in learning about the 286 burial mounds at this one site that has 15 different tribes buried at it, but also what they uncovered when they were going to simply build a educational, like a multicultural building there. They bulldozed off the top foot of land to make it flat. And what they found, they studied for 2 days with archaeologists and geologists, and they decided the best answer was to cover it back up and pretend they didn't see it. I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. So, that's where it's going to be a 4-part documentary. And the first 3 parts talk about the mounds and the spiritual significance of it and the way of life for these tribes at that point and what they use this site for, to sign treaties and build relationships and iron out conflicts. But then it culminates with that 4th episode of it moves into that paranormal thing. What the hell happened here? And we're actually going to have a remote viewer. Jen from Sea Squatchers might be the one we use because she's got a Native American ancestry bloodline.
Yep. Yeah.
And I want somebody to stand on those burial mounds in the middle of the night and ask those people, what happened here? I need an explanation. And maybe they'll give it to her. I just think to me that's the perfect culmination of a 4-part series that people find, because you're reaching that genre of people who want to learn about the Native American culture and these burial mounds. Dude, one of them has 30 upright individuals buried standing up in a circle with a tribal leader buried in the middle of it.
Yeah.
In one mound.
Wow.
And there's 286 mounds there.
Wow.
So there's Serpentine Mound. But with what they uncovered, without throwing it all, I know we talked about that a little while ago when I was on, but I look at this explanation, and the state is covering something up. They saw something, they learned something, and they said this does not bode well in the message. I don't know if it means that one tribe was responsible for the demise of others, and this is a mass burial, and therefore they don't want to put that out there, or what happened. Was it something supernatural?
Early Israelites that came to the States, and
I'm telling you, what happened was when they cleared this ground off, and you look at it from 1,000 feet up, there's a design there that would have taken 200 men about 200 years to create. Their channels are 8 foot wide, 8 foot deep, and it looks like covering the size of 4 football fields. If you took and drew 10 lines down and 10 lines across like a giant tic-tac-toe board, and then erased randomly, let's say every third or fourth intersection, so now it's an abstract thing. That's what's on this gigantic piece of ground. And the dirt that they excavated is gone, and the dirt that was filled in on these channels is dirt from the river bottom they had to bring up 6 miles away by foot in baskets.
One of the last tribes. It's one of the lost tribes of Israel. It's one of the Israelite tribes that made it to the States.
Yeah.
That's what the data is going to say.
But there's no plausible explanation as to why would they have done this. It's a design that it can only be viewed from so far overhead.
Yeah.
And there was no technology to see overhead as far as we know at that point from those people. So who were they communicating it to? What was that visual design projected to? Just a god? And what was the message? And why would the state look at it and say, oh shit, we got to cover this up?
Mm-hmm.
Just nothing adds up with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get to the bottom of it and figure out what the answer is. The only way to get to the bottom of it may be asking all the people who are buried there, what the hell happened here?
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's kind of cool. You mentioned about Jen from Sea Squatchers, about her, the Indian part, because actually, let me share this one last thing in the show. I put a short video with her, and here it is. I'll put this link in it. And Bob will tell you, she told us one of the most amazing paranormal, if you want to call it Mandela effect, about her heritage and how
cool story.
A certain statue changed for Jen. I took this clip out. I made it its own. Guys want to check that out, because like she's talking about her heritage and how this thing changed on her. It was
one of her statues, and she's always remembered growing up as a kid. She knows the whole story of the statue. She knows it like the back of her hand. She shows up, and the damn thing has changed. It's a completely different thing.
What's really interesting is she grew up in the Red Lake tribe, and the Red Lake Reservation is literally about 8 miles away from my research site that I had worked all summer long with all the interactions I was having. She's familiar with that area. And she communicated to me one of the things that she really had difficulties with was when she went to the tribal leaders and would tell them things that she's seeing and the visions she's having. They encouraged her to have these visions, but then when she'd share with them, they'd be telling her, don't tell anybody. This is secret to our people, and didn't want her communicating it to other people. And it's just, she really struggled with that,
Yeah, she's fantastic. Guys, take a chance. You gotta get the chance. It's only like 15 minutes. I mean, you'll learn so much. And when you listen to her tell the story, you can tell she's 100% honest and truthful and emotional. And it was like, wow, this is incredible.
She's a genuine person. She really is a genuine person.
So beyond that, we're gonna end the show here. I want to thank Connor and Jeff. I mean, for you guys to come on here and not really knowing where this conversation is going to lead us to, and everybody had their 2 cents on everything. It's just fantastic.
I've come to learn that when you title a show, that's just a suggestion of where you're going to start at.
He knows it. He knows it. He knows it. Hey,
you got it. It's just the starting point.
It's just a starting point. And, instead of cutting it, I always like to know, well, let's go with it. Let's see where we go with it. You know?
Well, I'll say this. The last time I was on, Bob was out in the wilderness hunting, and I was a little disappointed. Not that I don't appreciate hanging out with Eric and Connor, but Bob, I really appreciate your perspective on things and your open-mindedness. So it really was a pleasure to be able to join you guys tonight when you're back and you're here. So
yeah, and guys, remember when Bob gets back to the UK, when he's finally done, everything's gonna get back to normal, where he can come on a lot more often. Yeah. Now it's just, you know, I'm here, he's here, there. It's Bob's got to go.
I'm like Connor. I'm just on walkabout. So every once in a while, like all of us, we're always on. We're the real deal. Where we do walkabouts. We do field research, field stuff. We're in the field sometimes.
Just take a little month-long stroll, you know.
And if you guys want to send me another email to get him off the channel for good,
a new petition.
I welcome it.
But beyond that, guys, everybody have a good night and have a Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a good Christmas. If I don't hear from you guys, have a great New Year's too.
Hanukkah, all of it.
All right, guys. I'll see everybody later.